This meeting to order. Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, June 20th, Farmington Public Schools Board of Education meeting. We welcome you all. Mr. Walker, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Rich.
I am here.
Ms. Fox.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Heinrich.
Here.
I myself am here. Dr. Blau,
I am also here.
President and Counselor for.
Wonderful. Will our student athletes please rise and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Can all rise. Thank you. Here again? Okay. Okay, that's true. Okay, let's go ahead with the, oh, wonderful. Then let's go ahead with our recognition of Ms. Jennifer Kaminski. Oh, I'm sorry, approval of the agenda. Let's do that first.
I move to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, June 20th.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Weems to approve the agenda, supported by Mr. Walker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, now the recognitions. I'm so eager. We have a recognition of Ms. Jennifer Kaminski from the Oakland County School Business Officials Business Administration.
Good evening. Sorry, the traffic here was very interesting on the way in today. I'm Jason Zernis. I'm the, well, I guess I'm the past president of the Oakland County School Business Officials Officers. And I'm here this evening to award Ms. Kaminski with the Business Manager of the Year Award. I did have a speech kind of written up, but I'm just going to forego that because I know Mr. Delgado will probably want to say a few words as well. But I guess from when we look at, or when I look at, you know, what encompasses a business director, it's an individual that is striving to fulfill the needs of their district while also helping other districts along the way. Because again, we're islands within Oakland County, but we come together as a group and we help each other. And Jen is, I'm going to say, one of the loud voices in the room whenever we come together. And again, being a past president from Macomb County as well, they're few and far between with those individuals that come to the table, raise questions, have the confidence and the personality to actually do that. Ask the hard questions of our legislators. What's that? Oh, so ask the hard questions of the legislators, our fellow individuals, our vendors that come in and do presentations. Jen's always there asking the questions. I've known Jen now for about 8 years. We participated in the Leadership Institute, which again, it's just one of the qualities that Jen epitomizes, that you are always striving to make yourself a better person. And I think in education, that is what we all are here to do. We're here in education. We're here to educate our kids and bring everybody up around us. And I think Jen does that like no other. So it is my honor to present Jennifer Kaminski with the Business Administrator of the Year Award. Mr. Delgado,
I think the microphone's open for Mrs. Kaminski.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I wasn't going to speak because I'm not a big speaker, but I just want to say I'm very honored to receive this recognition this year. I have been with Farmington for 20 years now. As Jason mentioned, we are all here to make sure we can support our students, our staff, and the wonderful instruction that we're trying to bring forward in the district. So I'm excited to work with Dr. Delgado. He's been wonderful the last 2 years, our cabinet team, and just really looking forward to continuing that work over the next few years. Thank you.
Just briefly, as I've been in the district for several years now, I just really appreciate Mrs. Kaminski's professionalism, the way she presents the budget information. I'm very proud of the fact that Farmington Public Schools has been recognized year after year after year for its work in presenting the financial information, and have been awarded annually in recognition of all that good work. So congratulations for that award. Very, very well deserved. I'm sincerely appreciative of that. Thank you.
I also would like to say thank you so much for always being willing to answer our questions when you come before us to present information, as well as being willing to meet with community members when they have questions. You are really attentive to all of our concerns and questions, and you go that extra mile, and we really appreciate you.
I would like to also.
Yes.
I just want to let you know, and I think I've said this to you a couple of times, when we're looking at all these numbers and what have you, you actually break it down to where I could actually understand it. Thank you.
Yes. It's gotten very complicated over the years, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now we have some recognition of our spring sports athletes.
Thank you, Dr. Blau. It's my pleasure to invite up to the microphone Mr. Tom Shelton, our Director of Safety and Athletics for the district.
Thank you, Dr. Delgado and members of the board. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight. This is the third of our athletic recognition ceremonies this year. As you know, we're doing them now at the end of each season. So tonight we are here celebrating the achievements of our spring teams as well as individual athletes. I'd like to invite up Mr. Mike Cahill, Athletic Coordinator at Farmington High School, Stacey Punzel, Athletic Coordinator at North Farmington High School. They asked not to speak, but they are going to help as we go through the ceremony of recognizing our athletes tonight. Just a couple preliminary comments. As you know, success in academics while being involved in athletics or other extracurricular activities requires a high level of dedication and time management. These students have excelled at both and deserve to be recognized. There are a lot of our coaches and student athletes who are off doing fun summer stuff right now, so we do have several who weren't able to join us this evening. We're still going to call them out and acknowledge them, though, out of respect for their achievement, and hopefully they're out there in cyberspace somewhere watching and will receive their recognition that way. So without further ado, the way that we're going to do this evening is I'm going to call the teams up by team. We'll acknowledge the team acknowledgements as well as the individuals for those students on each team. So our first team tonight is our Farmington High School girls tennis team, and I'd like to invite Coach Tom Kuskowski, also lovingly called TK, and a couple of the girls from his team. And this one's a little bit unusual. Girls, if you want to go in that area right there. For this one, if you want to pull the first certificate out there, this one's a little special because in addition to the team and individual recognitions, in addition to presenting the team and individuals, we're also presenting a Regional Coach of the Year to Coach TK. So before I give him the microphone, I want to congratulate him and give him his certificate. So congratulations, Coach TK.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. But let me just say that any recognition I get as a coach is because of these girls. They're really great representatives of Farmington High School. They compete with passion and energy. And when we travel around the different schools to play, I frequently, and I mean this sincerely, frequently get responses from visiting parents that our girls are, quote, so nice. and they are that indeed. Not only are they nice, but they're also very competitive and also very good students. So I'm here today to recognize the team for one, at the 16th consecutive year, the girls' team has been named as the Academic All-State Award for the team. And that's 16 years in a row. That's pretty good stuff. I want to give them some. We also have some individual honors. Scarlett Richter is not here today. She's actually doing an interview with University of Michigan where she'll be attending in the fall. So she couldn't be here, but she got the Academic All-State for the individual with a 4.0 grade point average. So I want everybody to be aware of her great accomplishment. And in addition to that, Scarlett was also named to the All-OAA team for her position at 2 singles. So Scarlett had a very good year indeed. Now, with us today, we have Megan Puya, who was recognized as All-OAA. This is hard for me to say. OAA, All-League. And Molly Hansen, as half of our one doubles team, was also All-OAA League. And their certificates are here. Thank you. We have one last competitor who's not here, but Molly's partner, Tasuri Pelayangoda, that's a mouthful, who played with Molly, is also all OAA. So that's our recognition for the Farmington girls, and congratulations to you. Thank you, guys. Congratulations. Yeah, thanks.
Next, I'd like to invite members of the North Farmington High School tennis team to come up, please. North Farmington Tennis.
While you're walking up here, I'd like to remind you that we will take a short recess after all of the athletes have been recognized so that we can come out and shake your hands and congratulate you personally. So don't leave yet.
Thank you. We're glad that we were able to have some members of our team join us tonight. Before I introduce head coach Andre Dupre, I'm going to present him with his recognition as Regional Coach of the Year. So both of our girls tennis coaches were recognized as Regional Coaches of the Year this year. And congratulations, Andre.
Hi, everybody. It is a nice honor to get this Regional Coach of the Year. I do want to make a shout out to a couple of members of my coaching staff who contributed to getting this. It's a lot of work putting together a regional tournament, which is a big reason why coaches vote on this award. And those two members are Rebecca Tasich and Benjamin Bartlett, so I'll give them a round of applause because they were a big part of that. So I have so many good things to say about this fine group of young ladies. First of all, we had an incredible season. Just to kind of give a few of the highlights, we won the OAA White Division Championships the first time since 2010, so that was huge. We placed second in the regional tournament, beating Groves, which is usually a powerhouse school. And that enabled us to qualify for the state tournament, where we placed 7th in the state out of 26 schools. As proud as I am about these accomplishments, what I'm most proud about you guys is just the amazing young women that you are. Obviously, you guys who are here and all those who are not here. But I'm going to echo what TK said. You know, when we go to matches, the number of comments I would get about you guys saying just what great sportsmanship you guys had, how classy you guys are. And we don't always see that. And that's just a testament to the kind of character that you ladies have. That goes beyond anything that you accomplish on the court. So it's just a real privilege getting to be your coach. So now I'm just going to kind of say what the awards were. So as I kind of mentioned, these ladies are OAA White League champions. So I think each of you will be getting a certificate for that. Also, we have all of our singles players received OAA All-League distinction, and 3 of them are here tonight. And so our one singles player, Danny Ajao, come on up, or I don't know how we're going to do this. Oh, Danny, and this is for you too. Our 2 singles, Carolina. Carolina. There you go. Congrats. Our 3 singles, Mary. Congratulations. And our 4 singles, Samantha. So much like TK's Farmington team, our girls also are very strong students. So the All-State Academic Team Award is presented to all members of our regional lineup for a very strong GPA that way surpassed the minimum requirement. So congratulations, you guys, on that. And then we also have an individual All-State Academic Senior Award for Mary Dedisho, who, believe it is, a GPA over 3.75, also part of the regional team. So well done, Mary. Should I just pass them out? Yeah, I'm just really proud of you guys. Great job.
Thank you, Coach, and thank you, ladies. You can go back to your seats. Next, we have North Farmington High School track. Excuse me, if we could have North Farmington track students as well as coaches present, if you could please come up.
All right. It's an honor to be up here. You guys should all be so proud of yourselves. The other coaches couldn't make it today, but on their behalf, we are so proud to have you guys up here representing our team, the most consistent performers in the classroom, and then obviously outside the classroom. So I'm going to say you guys made it really easy. So all of you guys made all region, and all of them made all county. So they're also going to clap because we're going to be a little bit quicker than the rest. So that's kind of good too. So I'm going to call up each name individually, but each athlete is recommended got their accomplishments in all region and all county. So first one, Cheyenne Weems, and you get your mom in the front row seat too.
Yay!
Even better, Cheyenne Weems. I'm just going to go there. All right, next, Amara Gatson, one of my long jumpers. All you guys too. Anaya Billups didn't make it, but she was an all-around athlete, sprinter, and she probably has a good chance of breaking our school record for long jump next year. So let's give it up to Anaya. I don't see, oh, there we go, Brianna Murphy. She couldn't stick with me for high jump, but she's a workhorse, so she does all the other events. So let's give it up for Brianna. Next is Sydney Cole. She also has another year and greatest high jumper. Josh Rio made states last year, came just an inch short this year, has a good chance for college next year. Prentice Gardner, I don't see PJ up here, but PJ, another one for long jump. He is this far away from setting our, oh yeah, let's give it to him. He's about 5 inches away from our state, or for our school record too for long jump. So he's got one more year, so we can give it up to PJ. And for another all-region, all-county, Alex Hamilton. And Amari Harden, another one of our awesome seniors, going to be said in this one. All right, and then I don't see Jordan up here. All right, Jordan Johnson. Jordan Johnson didn't make it today, but let's give him a round of applause for his accomplishments too. And the North Farmington track team. And actually, Jordan Johnson did make all-state individual athletes, so that would be Jordan's accomplishment. So, all right, you guys are good to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have North Farmington Girls Softball. If we could have members of the North Farmington Girls Softball team please come up. I know Coach couldn't make it tonight. Okay, well, I'm still going to acknowledge them and read their names. North Farmington High School Softball had a great year this year. Very proud of their achievements, a wonderful group of girls and a wonderful coaching staff. They're receiving the team award for academic all-state. We also have 3 individual students from the North Farmington softball team who are recognized as academic all-state. Those students are Corinna Collins, Lily O'Neill, and Kelly Simpson. So please join me in congratulating the North Farmington girls softball team. Next, we have the North Farmington High School girls lacrosse team, and I do believe we have some representatives here. If you could come up, please.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you. My name is Nikki Barrett, and I have the privilege to be the North Farmington girls lacrosse coach. I've been doing it for a while now, and it's great that we get to come here and be able to be recognized as a team and as individuals. Tonight, we're here to recognize several of the individuals from our program. I'm standing on my toes, so I don't have to pull the mic down. No, that's okay. So we had 2 players this year make All-League, and that's Mariah McKinney and Chelsea Bond. Are you guys here? I know I reached out, and several of them are already doing things and aren't able to be here. So Chelsea Bond and Mariah McKinney made All-League, so congratulations. And then we had several athletes make All-State Academic, which means you have to be a junior or a senior with a 3.6 GPA or higher. And so this year we had several. I believe there was, and we made the honor as a team as well. So the team, all academic, for I think this is the 3rd or 4th or 5th year, or I don't think we've ever missed this honor, which is really cool, the student athlete. So this year, the individuals that won All-State Academic are Ashna Singh, Sarah Shakir, Haley Schultz, Eliza Mueller, Kendall Fells, Chelsea Baum, and Abby Winkleman. So congratulations to them. All right, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. Next, we have the Farmington High School track team. So could I please invite the Farmington High School track team to come up to the front of the room? Student athletes from Farmington High School track, please come up. Thank you, guys. And I'm going to help pass out certificates while Coach reads off the awards and presents to everybody.
Thank you, everybody. This is a great group that we have right in front of you. We have so many all-league award winners that we've just listed all the all-region and all-county members of our team. And so I'll just name off the people right now. Eddie King, Blaze Farrington, Mikey Woods, Keyshawn Brown, Sean Campbell.
Maybe do them let's do them one at a time.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
If you call you step forward.
Blaze Farrington, all region, all county. Keyshawn Brown, all region, all county. Sean Campbell, all region, all county. Jamar Peterson, all region, all county. Brooke Farrington, all region, all county. A few more people that aren't here, just to name off a few more. Jaden Van, Brody Witz, Mikey Woods, Eddie King, Eddie Marie King, Santa Coley, Claire Rosico, Gavin Steele, Isabel Torres, Phelan Wong, Olivia Lincourt, Catherine Steele, Molly Baracco, and then 2 academic All-States, Phelan Wong and Gavin Steele. And also, I just wanted to mention Bianca Evelocha. She was all-county, all-region, all-state, and she's our school record holder. She helped with our school record, as well as a school record was done in the 4x800 at the state meet. And finally, Faith Moore right here, who was all region, all county, and all state as well. And I just want to mention how hard they work during the spring with so much bad weather. And then one of the highlights this year was our ladies were league champs. We defeated Oak Park they had won 13 straight years. They were state champs this year in track and field, and our girls got them for the first time. It was quite nice, and congratulations.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, guys. You can go back to your seats. Thank you. Next, we have North Farmington High School girls soccer, and I believe Coach Russ could not join us this evening. Do we have any members of the high school, of the girls soccer team from North Farmington here? Okay, I'm going to recognize them anyway. North Farmington High School girls soccer had a great season this year. Lots of hard work, lots of achievement, and actually they received the recognition that was described earlier of All-State Academic as a team. So as a team, their average GPA was over 3.6, which is a great achievement for them. We also have 3 individuals that we are recognizing tonight. I don't believe any of them are here, but I'm still going to acknowledge them and read their names because these are quite some achievements. First of all, Mila Rustin was recognized as all-region, was an honorable mention for all-state. We also have Ava Laura, who is academic all-state, and Gabrielle Kassab, who is academic all-state. So congratulations to those teams and individuals. Okay, up next we have Farmington High School girls soccer. If we have any members of our girls soccer team, if you could please come up. Coach Russell could not be here this evening, but he did send me some remarks that I'm going to read on his behalf. This year's Falcon girls soccer team was led by 7 seniors who demonstrated that leadership both in and out of the classroom, on and off the pitch. 6 of our seniors spent great amounts of time and energy throughout each school year to improve their soccer skills and athleticism, while also graduating with GPAs above 3.5, in fact, all the way to 4.0. A 7th senior, Samara Doctor, also had a superlative GPA, winning OAA and Farmington Public Schools academic honors. This group of amazing young leaders includes Bryn Brown, Annalyn Nardelli, and program captains Catherine Bergman, who will be continuing her soccer career at Calvin University, Ella Hansen, Caitlin Ignasiak, and Lily Penner. We wish them all the best of luck and love in their future endeavors. Now for the awards for Farmington High School girls soccer team. First, the team award for academic all-state. Second, we have several individuals, some of whom are here tonight. Step forward if I call your name so that Mr. Cahill can get you your certificate. We have Bryn Brown, academic all-state. Catherine Bergman, academic all-state. Ella Hansen, academic all-state. Caitlin Ignasiak, academic all-state. Annalyn Nardelli, academic all-state. And Lillian Penner, academic all-state. Congratulations, girls. We're proud of you. You can return to your seats. Up last, we have our Farmington High School girls lacrosse program, and Coach Mihal is in the room tonight, so I'd like to welcome Coach Mike Mihal to the podium, as well as any student athletes present.
Thank you very much for allowing us to really support the accomplishments of these young ladies. Both of them, I didn't have the academic awards together in time, so that's why they don't have them, but that's my fault, not theirs. But basically, these two have represented a team of 14 seniors. The team as a whole is 17 players. So I had senioritis really never set in, thank goodness. And we had a year that was growing and improved as we worked through the season. We had the luxury of working at the higher level of lacrosse in a division that had teams that went to all-state, and so we got humbled a few times. But I think sometimes losing is a way of learning. And these two fought beyond all that. Eva Charles had 65 goals, and some of which were against five goals against a team that was in the semifinals in the state. So quite an accomplishment. Abby is our defenseman. Defensemen don't get goals, but they stop goals from happening. And so she was a significant player that really helped bring together a team that I changed the defense mode about 3 or 4 times, and she adjusted it to every time, and making sure that everybody worked together as a team. When they didn't, she was there. And she was a great support and a great individual that allowed the team to function at the highest capacity possible. So I'd like to give Eva, as well as Abby, the All-League Award, OAA All-League Award. And Eva also made honorable mention in the All-State, which is quite an accomplishment with the teams that are represented within the state. So she did a great job, and we're proud of the team and are proud of these two especially. Great job, ladies.
Thank you, Coach. I'm going to finish off our presentation this evening with just some really quick thanks. Thank you, Board of Education and Dr. Delgado, for allowing us to recognize these phenomenal students and programs this evening. Thank you to parents out there who make all these sacrifices to help your kids be successful in these wonderful programs. Thank you to the officials. Thank you for the coaches. And just thank you, everybody, for the great things that are Farmington Athletics. So, thank you.
We will now take a 5-minute recess to greet our athletes.
Terry's going to go see first.
Ms. Weems? Mr. Walker? We would like to call our meeting back to order.
I felt like my mama was just chastising me to get back to the table.
Sorry.
Get back in the house.
Sorry.
It's only like 5 minutes.
That's all right. It's never been 5 minutes.
All righty. That's okay.
You're right, you're right.
All right.
Lots to
No,
celebrate.
it was me. It was me. I'm sorry, guys. You and I were the last ones.
We are now calling our meeting back to order, and we are ready to recognize our PTA Council Officers.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have a second recognition this evening, and so I see she's already at the podium, our wonderful Director of School Community Relations and Pupil Accounting, Ms. Diane Bauman, who will introduce our PTA recognition.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. So it is my pleasure to recognize our PTA Council Officers for 2022-23. So PTA's mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Our PTA Council embodies the definition of the PTA values. Collaboration. They work in partnership with a wide variety of individuals and organizations to broaden and enhance their ability to serve and advocate for all children and families. Commitment. They are dedicated to children's educational success, health, and well-being through strong family and community engagement while remaining accountable to the principles upon which the PTA was founded. Diversity. They acknowledge the potential of everyone without regard, including but not limited to age, culture, economic status, educational background, ethnicity, gender, geographic location, legal status, marital status, and the list goes on. Respect. They value the individual contributions of members, employees, volunteers, and partners. There are really no words to express the depth of gratitude that we have for these individuals who serve on the board of the PTA Council. This is just an added thing to their full schedules. While everyone was not able to join us tonight, we do want them to be acknowledged for all of their hard work over the past year. So as you call your name, if you could come up. President Tiffany Morris Street. She will be here. Immediate past President Beth Hewlett. Vice President of Community Engagement, Kelly Carpenter Crawford. Vice President of Enrichment, Nancy Jennings. Vice President of Advocacy, Amanda Phelan. Treasurer, Santoria Shepard. Secretary, Brandy Cobb. Business Partnerships Committee Chair, Erica Adams Williams. And last, we have Health and Wellness Committee Chair, Sunday Coffin Taylor. So on behalf of the superintendent and the board, we celebrate you and thank you for all that you do.
Dr. Blau? Yes, Ms. Mays.
While you guys are still standing up there, one, obviously, recognition for everything that you do, not only at the local PTA levels with the various individual schools that you guys have been supporting for years, but in addition, at the council level, I really appreciate all of the efforts you do for all of our schools, and especially for those of you who have been serving for multiple years, even those who have children who've matriculated. I really, really just express my heartfelt appreciation for all of you. Thank you so much.
It takes a village, and our PTA is a really important part of our village here in Farmington Schools. We couldn't serve our students without your help, and we thank you so much for all you invest in our kids. All right. Next, we have items from the president. First, I'd like to remind everyone that according to the Open Meetings Act, we are required as a board to hold all of our meetings publicly. As a result, our board meetings are the only place and time that we as a collective body can legally work together on district matters. While these board meetings are held in public for transparency purposes, they are not public meetings. Therefore, while you are welcome to attend our board meetings in person or watch from elsewhere, we must take whatever time we need as a board to address, discuss, and hear presentations on all matters of importance to our work as a district. Further, we, the Farmington Public Schools Board of Education members and our superintendent, have agreed to abide by the following standards of behavior when interacting with one another, both during our board meetings and elsewhere, even when we disagree with one another's points of view. They are as follows: listen actively, no sidebar conversation, respect people and their ideas, presume positive intent, use electronic devices respectfully and stay engaged, listen to learn, not to defend, be brave, and be vulnerable. They are posted on the wall over there, and we each have them listed here to remind us. Thank you. We thank our community members and our fellow board members for abiding by these standards of behavior. This evening, we are going to be hearing some of the reports that we've been waiting for all year about the kinds of interventions that we have put into place to assist our students in making the most of their learning experiences this year, and also highlighting the areas that we still need to focus upon. I would like to acknowledge that there are members of our community who frequently speak during public comment, and I want the community to know that we take their concerns and their recommendations very seriously. When I first became a board member, I reached out to several of our community members who frequently come to public comment because, unfortunately, a board meeting isn't the place or the time or the place for us to engage in the kind of deep dialogue that we need to better understand one another. And several of us meet on a fairly regular basis with any of our community members who are interested in dialoguing with us. I also know that Dr. Delgado, Dr. Coffin, Mrs. Kaminski, Mrs. Hendrickson, and others have also met with several community members on a regular basis to answer their specific questions about our budget, what we're spending our money on, what programs we've got in place to help our students with literacy and numeracy. So I want to make sure that our community at large is aware that we are taking the time to sit down together with anyone who has questions or ideas. And we are willing and have been on an ongoing basis spending time at coffee or at central office or wherever we are with one another to listen to their ideas, take in their suggestions and recommendations, and also help others better understand where the common ground is between what they're looking for and what we are already actually doing here in Farmington Public Schools. And I look forward to continued dialogue. Again, unfortunately not during public comment, but we look forward to ongoing dialogue with all of you who are interested in engaging. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. All right. Then let us go on to our items for the secretary, our correspondences.
The board has received communications regarding comments for the FPS board dated 6/6/23, that meeting, Lanigan's field trip, HSES announcements, and the 2023-2024 budget, the 2022-2023 Second Amendment, rejecting the budget public questions, and the board's performance. Communications are acknowledged and when a response is provided when appropriate. A list of correspondence can be found in the board packet, which is accessible on the FPS website.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Next, we have our legislative update from Mr. Rich.
Thank you. Lots happening right now before the summer recess for the state legislature. A few things. This past Tuesday, the House Education Committee unanimously approved House Bill 4671, which would repeal the requirement that schools start after Labor Day unless they receive a waiver from the Michigan Department of Education. Due to the processing of those waivers and the number of schools that either do or don't request that, it's being done that law is being repealed. On Tuesday, the House Criminal Justice Committee approved Senate Bill 66, which would require materials related to sexual assault and harassment to be provided to students in grades 6 through 12, beginning in the 2024-2025 school year. And so for this, the Michigan Department of Education would have to develop the materials for schools to distribute, and districts are also encouraged to provide all school personnel with training on how to respond to pupils who have experienced sexual assault or harassment at least every 5 years going through that training. And so I know that this is now before the full House for consideration as part of a bigger package dealing with sexual assault, especially in our schools. And so going on with that, on Wednesday, the Senate Civil Rights, Judiciary, and Public Safety Committee approved a package of bills that includes House Bill 4125. And so this bill states that a student cannot be suspended or expelled for more than 10 days for an action arising from an incident in which the student claims they were sexually assaulted unless the district considers the factors currently required for suspensions and expulsions longer than 10 days. And so the purpose of this bill is to give students confidence that if they report an assault or report witnessing an assault, while they might have been doing something that's against school rules, the assault will be treated seriously and the student doesn't feel like they will get in trouble for reporting it. And, you know, even if they might have been doing something they shouldn't ought, you know, that is taken into account, and so that we make sure that they feel comfortable coming forward in these very difficult situations. This bill was later passed by a 30-8 vote and is now headed to the governor for her consideration to sign into law. And then on Thursday, the House Health Policy Committee began hearings on House Bill 4081, which would require all districts to maintain a ratio of at least one school counselor for every 250 students enrolled. Hearings are going to continue on this. As well, it's definitely good to have a lower counselor to student ratio. This current legislation is an unfunded mandate and would put, that doesn't have any funding tied to it. So it would put districts across the state in unworkable situations. And this is something that's currently being looked at as part of the hearings process. And so I know there's a lot of very heavy stuff that I talked about. A lot of these bills have been kind of sidelined the past many, many years. And so now this legislature is taking them up and working them through committee and through the different chambers. Lastly, they are hoping to have a completed and approved budget before heading into their recess in July. So we're hoping that happens, fingers crossed, that we have an actual idea of what we are seeing from our state, what we are going to be seeing for our funding. And what's great news that in all different forms of this budget, it does include the free lunch and breakfasts for all students across the state. So fingers crossed on that getting done before their recess in July. And so I will keep everyone updated as I hear more.
Thank you. That's a lot to take in. Wow. Thank you. Yes.
So when you say free and reduced lunch for all students, that's every student, not just if your income?
Every student.
That's perfect.
While we all acknowledge the need for additional counselors, that's a great goal, but an unfunded mandate.
Right.
Not helpful. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Rich. Next, we have district updates. Dr. Delgado.
Thank you, Dr. Blau, and good evening to the board and to our community. As we end this second school year, just reflecting on the first 2 years already of working in this wonderful school district, I can just share with everyone how much I really appreciate and love working here and being with this school community. I live here as well, and I couldn't be more excited about the potential for our students, for our families, to get to work with them, with our very dedicated staff, from our administrators to our teachers to our custodians to our bus drivers to all of our paraprofessionals and secretaries. It's just a wonderful, wonderful school district to be a part of. And when I think about school community, you think about all of the things that we have recognized this year very intentionally with the blessing of the Board of Education, and not only recognitions from state, local, national organizations for our administrators and our students, but all of the sports recognitions and the benefits that we have, the hours and hours of commitment of our young students, the academic excellence that we have seen. There were more academic All-States tonight than athletic All-States, and so that's a real tribute to the parents and to the students for their commitment to the classroom. And tonight we're going to see a wonderful presentation about our commitment to true diversity in Farmington Public Schools, real equitable opportunities for every single child in this school district, and outreach to our parents, as well as true inclusion, not just between special education and general education, but certainly inclusive classroom practices and inclusive opportunities for all of the children and the families in our school district. And we're going to start our recognitions off tonight with a wonderful presentation from our Parent-Teacher Association, which shows that partnership in thriving school communities that have wonderful working relationships with parents that not only are part of the social aspect of schools, but particularly here in Farmington, who are advocates at the state, local, national level to really advocate for public education and for public educators. So I really just want to highlight what a special district this is. It's full of dedicated people, including your Board of Education. I want to thank this board for their commitment this year, the last 2 years really, to each other, to your continued growth and learning and progress, and the professionalism that you've portrayed for our school community and for your confidence in me. So with that, we can start our district updates tonight. I think I saw Tiffany Morris Street, our wonderful PTA president, walk in, and want to congratulate you on the award that we just issued to you. And you can lead us through the PTA update.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the award that I just missed. I'm sorry, I was on my way from another meeting, which you'll find that a lot. Everyone who is volunteering wears many hats. So I apologize, but I thank you sincerely for that. We don't do the work to be thanked, but it is nice to be recognized. Good evening to everyone here. My name is Tiffany Morris Street. I am the president of the Farmington Area PTA Council. This is my first year as the Farmington Area PTA Council president, and I have been a board member and president at local units before this. I'd like to start out by saying we have a few board members whose terms ended this school year, and I'd like to thank Erica Adams-Williams, who's here, and Kelly Carpenter-Crawford, who could not be here tonight. Their service in the positions of Business Partnerships Chair as well as Vice President of Community Engagement, respectively, are much appreciated, and we're sad to see them go, but wish them well on their newest endeavors. I'd also like to take this time to thank Beth Hewlett. Many of you will know Beth. Beth is our immediate past president. Beth has been a cornerstone of the Farmington Area PTA family for over 15 years, from chairing events to being the president at her children's school and holding on a board position on council simultaneously. Beth has done it all and done it well. She's mentored me from the very start of my PTA experience 9 years ago when I started at Alameda, and she provides help and advice with warmth and confidence and grace to all who ask. Beth currently holds the position of Vice President of Communications on the Michigan PTA Board and works with nonprofits and elected officials to advocate for the health and wellness of children through her bill on seizure-safe policies in our schools, for the health and wellness of every child to attend school without fear for their health. I could spend all night listing off Beth's accomplishments, good works, well-deserved accolades, but I know we want to move on, and I know Beth doesn't like to be the center of attention. I will end by saying that Beth Hewlett is an advocate, she's an ally, a diplomat in the purest sense of the word, and a kind person. Her kindness permeates everything she says and does, and I'm proud to have her as a mentor and a colleague, and most of all, as my friend. Beth, thank you for your service. I did that part first so everyone's tears could dry. Now to the boring stuff. Since my last report, we had an excellent turnout at our Founders Day celebration with several members from each school in our district, staff, administrators, city council members, Board of Education members, thank you all for coming, and state representatives. It was our first time back in person since the COVID-19 lockdown, and there was a buoyancy of spirit and a joy in being together and celebrating those who were the best of us this year, from staff to the students, who really contributed this past year and throughout the COVID-19 lockdown. Our final meeting of the year was on April 24th, where we voted in a few new members. Our board is now, currently, it's myself as president, Amanda Thielen, who is the Vice President of Advocacy, Centauria Shepard, who is our treasurer, and Brandy Cobb, who is our secretary. Our new officers to their positions, but who you'll be familiar with, are Nancy Jennings as VP of Communications and Sunday Taylor as VP of Community Engagement. In this technical age, we find that a VP of Communications is necessary to keep our units informed and be more available and transparent in our communications. And Nancy was happy to be nominated for that position, as she's very good at it. And even though she has a graduated senior now, a college student now, she is still willing to help the community. And like you said, Superintendent Delgado, this is a very unique community where I've never seen so many people volunteer whose children have long since left the school district because they believe so much in the district and in the community. So that says something about where we live and what we all do. Sunday will continue as the as the Health and Wellness Chair under the title of VP of Engagement, but with volunteer members to share with the committee vision. We also had Superintendent Delgado attend that meeting. He gave his report, as he always does, which we much appreciate, very much appreciate you coming to all of our meetings. And at that meeting, he asked all of the parents present what they loved about the district, what they would like to see more from in the district, and what they thought the district could change or was needed. And to have that kind of transparency is just really meaningful when parents are so worried now. There's a high anxiety level, even more so than it used to be, as far as gun violence, as far as health, mental health issues. So for, the top of our hierarchy to come down and say, hey, what do you all see, was very important and very well received. We hosted an officer planning meeting for our officers all across the district. We began that meeting with a presentation on mental health awareness by Erica Somm. Erica is a parent and staff member in the district who is a licensed social worker and a certified SEI professional. It was well received. She gave a lot of great information on how to help our kids who are struggling mentally, and not just serious mental designations, but just everyday life. There's a lot going on. I had the pleasure of presenting the Robert Maxfield PTA Scholarship Award to Miriam Seferta. She's a young woman who is a marvel to me. I attended the honors award ceremony. There were so many children there, phenomenal kids, and Miriam puts just as much tenacity and excellence into her academics as she does into her service. I was shocked and amazed. I had to keep my speech to 2 minutes, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to fit in everything that she does. So that was an honor to see kids at a higher level than mine who are still in elementary, to see where they can go and what our school district does. The final event for this year that we would like to bring to your attention is the virtual National PTA Convention, which is going on right now through June 24th. You can go to pta.org and sign up and connect from the comfort of your home. Next year, it will be in person in Florida. So it's always a great time and a lot of information. Our meeting dates for next year are Monday, September 18th, Monday, November 13th of 2023, Monday, February 5th of 2024, and Monday, April 29th of 2024. Our Founders Day dinner has yet to be decided, but I will keep you all posted. I'd like to say it's been a year of adjustments, adjusting to the new normal after lockdown, and I think everyone's happy to be back and ready to hit the ground running on this next school year. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tiffany. And thank you for your leadership all year. Next up, we have Mr. Greg Smith, our wonderful Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, who's going to give us an end-of-the-year report and a year in review. As he's getting set up, just a quick congratulations to our Warner STEP team, some of the students that are in the IDEA group who participated this past Juneteenth in our wonderful community 5th annual, I believe, Juneteenth celebration here in the community. So congratulations to them, and Mr. Smith, you can take it away.
Great. To the Board of Education, Dr. Delgado, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share where we have gone from then to now, and keeping some of the same sentiments of our PTA, being able to see the growth that we have made collectively, that we've made, many have strived for individually, and how that just makes sense for our district and how it makes sense for our kids. I want to share just a few things. In the interest of then to now, I actually kept my exact same format of the first presentation I provided for you in January. And you can see, I even kept the photo. And from then to now, I've went from a bare face to a full-grown beard. So any indication as to the level of growth that we've made as a district. And the next piece is my apologies in a sense. Mrs. Stern did a great job of following up with me over the last week or so about the packet. I pressed send too soon. So you may want to check out the updated presentation, as there are some things within that packet that are unedited, okay? But should be able to follow along nonetheless. Okay, so I am, as Dr. Delgado said, Greg Smith. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and I'm here to talk to you about DEI within the district from then as to when I started to now. I am not alone, and so I'm going to do just a couple of brief introductions, and we will hear from these individuals a bit later. We have two of our restorative practice facilitators, Ms. Lindsay Moore and Mrs. Tamika Williams. I believe Tamika was here for the SEL, so she's reeing up pretty quick here. And then we have just a dynamite, remarkable individual who is graduating, who has graduated, and it will be attending Howard University in the fall. Megan McKinney from North Farmington High School will also be here to co-present with me. So those will be some of the individuals that will share in my sentiments around DEI. So we can go ahead and get started. Okay. I saw it just pop up. So is someone controlling this remotely, or am I doing this here? Oh, there it is. Okay, here we go. All right, so in this, as I spoke in January, I broke down the work of, from the lens that I had at the time, I broke down the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion within this district in 4 different phases. Today, we're going to focus on phase 1. However, things are always subject to change as I grow, as we grow together, and so there are many phases or many pieces from a different phase that may be added into our discussion this evening. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. One of the main things we focused on and we got started with was cultivating relationships. There's not much we can do without cultivating and building relationships first. The work of diversity, equity, inclusion, acceptance, justice, whatever you want to call it, is not easy. It is hard work. It is head work. It is slow moving, and it takes a village, as Mrs. Blau had shared a bit earlier. So building and cultivating relationships was key. In January, I talked about doing listening tours with our students and our staff and other members of our community. I just want to highlight a few things in which we were able to do and get feedback from and build out throughout the course of the year. Our student IDEA team are absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to break that and drill down a bit more in that now, and then I'll do it again a bit later. But the IDEA, in a sense, are students who raise their hand and say, hey, I want to be a member of this unit. I want to be that person that models these behaviors, that is a leader for my peers within my school. And so what they do is they have an advisor. Many of our RPs, counselors, are the advisors within the school, so thank them very much for their work that they do with these students. In this, they meet weekly to talk about issues within the school, to talk about advancements within the school, and they problem solve collectively. Each month, I have the opportunity of leading this group along with all of the facilitators and developing a student diversity conference. We were able to do that very successfully this year, and we'll talk about that a bit later, but that is IDEA. Centering our work around student roundtable. Dr. Delgado and I have partnered with the Student Roundtable to collect great information, useful information, and actually information that has helped navigate and direct some of the direction that we're taking here in the district, but centering those voices. There's MSAN, you're going to hear a bit more about this, the ISJC, that is the Intersectional Social Justice Collaborative. That is the Multicultural Achievement Network, their version of the secondary students. So from 6 to 12. We have individuals throughout our district. Megan's going to talk about that a bit later, relative to the work in which we're doing. We've had a group to present, or a couple of students, Megan being one, to present at the ISJC nationally, which was just amazing. We got U of M's Summer Youth Dialogue. I'll talk about that as well a bit later, but that is actually happening now. So as you wake up and you yawn on Saturday mornings, we are sending 2 groups of students to various communities with the University of Michigan to look into things such as race and ethnicity and how they play a role in their education and furthering their education. Those are all of the pieces that we're doing with students, and actually this is just a few. When we start to talk around our adults and partnering with our staff members, we've got our elementary educational instruction, or excuse me, equity instructional leads, our restorative practice facilitators, our directors in Margaret and Chris, and making sure that we are partnering together, our administrators, our overall staff, as well as our stakeholders and our parents. When we talk about cultivating relationships, we were able to do this with some of our community structures. MCMR is a fantastic group with a fantastic mission and a fantastic history, one in which we've come to learn and know and partner with in many of the things that we've done. The FAIA, I spoke about this particular group in January where I said it brought color to the word diversity that many of us speak about. Those that live in Farmington and Farmington Hills. We say it, but do we see it? Do we live up to it? Do we engulf and engage ourselves in that work? Well, that FAIA group, as well as MCMR, they do that. And we've been able to build our partnerships there and our relationships. The Farmington Community Library, as well as FAPN, and ADL, which you're going to hear a bit more about, as well as Oakland Schools. I want to highlight just a couple of pieces. I actually started my work the second day I received the job. I actually was invited out to the Muslim Center for the volleyball game against the Farmington Hills Police Department. What a great experience. Many of the city council members were there. I did not play, but I did see the members of the Muslim Center absolutely destroy the Farmington Hills Police Department volleyball team. I'm sure they'll get it together and come back even stronger next year. But it was a great experience. One of the more humbling experiences I've had in my educational career was at Yom HaShoah, and that was a partnership between Dr. Delgado and I, and something that he had made mention to me, and we actually had Chief King, oh my goodness, down there, and what we were able to do, and we had the opportunity to do, was read through names, kid names, families, uncles, aunts, individuals that had passed on in unimaginable ways. But their names still lived on. And so we had an opportunity to do that. So when we talk about cultivating relationships, that is truly the groundwork of the work in which we like to start here in Farmington Public Schools, and extremely important to the work in DEI. So in cultivating relationships, we now are able to build bridges. Here are some of the bridges that we were able to build. I'm going to actually call Megan McKinney up to the podium. I'm going to talk a bit around MSAN. MSAN happens in 2 different quadrants. There is an adult MSAN in which we were able to take a number of staff members, adult staff members here in the district to Madison, Wisconsin, to study, to go to attend a conference and an institute where we talked around the things of race and ethnicity, all of the things relative to diversity, equity, and inclusion. See and hear from students in districts who are actually doing the work and having great success in that work, to share our own narrative and to share our own stories and successes. So we were able to kind of culminate that experience and revitalize that relationship that we've had, that long-standing relationship we've had with MSAM. I'm going to have Megan come on up, and she's going to share a bit more about their experience with the ISJC.
Hi, Board. I am Megan McKinney, and unfortunately, my partner in crime could not be here today, Savannah Thomas. But as all of you know, she would love to be here. So MSAN was basically a middle school and high school collaboration that met virtually once a month online. And we would hear speakers of all different ethnicities come in and share their experiences and talk to different groups so that we can delve into what they've been through. And so throughout the conference. It was from about 11 to 2. They would share just a lot of the things that they've been through, and we would hear from Hispanic religions and African American and Asian Pacific Islander, and I think the students really benefit from them because when we would go into debrief sessions, they would talk about their experiences. So, like Mr. Smith said, it was nationally. So we would hear experiences from Illinois. And one of the ones that stood out to me was in classrooms, there wasn't a lot of African American students that were in AP classes. And so they always struggle to find themselves within these spaces. And then when you have speakers come on and talk about how they thrived and how they got through adversity within going past to their adulthood, they could see themselves in positions when they didn't before. So that was one of the things that I really admired about this organization, because as we went through from November to April, we actually got more involved and we were talking to them, and then we got to share poems and our perspectives within the presentations. So that led to us sharing our poem about our neighbor, and it was about diversity and how we can work together to use those differences to create a difference within our communities. And so that really stood out to the students, especially because as a sixth grader, when you don't really understand the impact of who you are, and then you see somebody that's really close in age to you, it makes you want to be that person or be a better you. And so we talked about body image and diversity in children's books and how we didn't really see ourselves in the children's books, but as time went on, we were able to see ourselves. And the middle schoolers and the other high schoolers decided to share their experiences too, and it was a very vulnerable and emotional state of connecting with each other. And so I think that this has really opened my eyes and allowed many of the students to want to create more change within their communities, and I could not thank this program enough because it has really enlightened me, and I'm very appreciative. So I will hand it back off to Mr. Smith as he will continue to talk about the diversity in the district.
Awesome. Thank you so much. As I mentioned before, the University of Michigan Youth Summer Dialogue Series, this actually had I don't think we ran the program for 4, 5, 6 years. And Dr. Checkaway, Dr. Rogers, up at the University of Michigan, reached out and said, we would really like to pull Farmington back on board. And it took some legwork, but I'm really excited that we are sending 2 affinity groups to this summer youth dialogue series. The dialogue series covers things relative to their race and ethnicity within their community, within the school setting, within their household. And so what they do is they will, as a group, an affinity group, and when I say affinity group, I mean the students have the same race and ethnicity that are in the group, right? So we have an Asian American group, and we also have an African American group that is attending. And so they are to identify a problem in which they would like to be the solution to. They are not led from any adult, but rather U of M students that were working and facilitating right alongside of them. They will spend a week on U of M's campus, where U of M will roll the red carpet out for them. And so in that, they will have presentations from the admissions department, take tours, financial aid, and U of M really shows them a great time in doing that. So we're excited for those students that are taking part. We're also excited for our partnership in our bridge building with the Anti-Defamation League. more specifically with our No Place for Hate. At this point, No Place for Hate will be implemented at its own pace, and I want you guys to hear that, and I think it's important that our administrators hear me say that. At their own pace, it will be implemented in all of our school buildings, or K-12 school buildings. And so we're really excited around the No Place for Hate. You will have invites throughout the course of the year. Well, they will have 3 opportunities throughout the course of the year to truly center the voices of their students within the school and act on them, right? And so that is just a snapshot here of the No Place for Hate, but we're really excited that so many of our administrators, so many of our administrative teams and teachers and ancillary staff thought that this was something in which we should implement within our schools. So we're excited to see that. Equal Opportunity Schools is not necessarily unfamiliar to Farmington Public Schools, but a continued partnership in building bridges for underrepresented and marginalized students to have access to advanced placements classes. And so they work alongside of us and support us with surveys, with data, and with tips and strategies and ways we can increase some of those numbers. And in our district, we are seeing an increase in those numbers of students of color taking, or more importantly, being prompted to take advanced placement courses. Lastly, I'm going to talk about, and this is, again, the list is 5, and there could be 15 bullet points here, is our partnership, our continued partnership with the Farmington Community Library. As you know, we had the IDEA panel discussion there, which was wonderful, and we continue to partner with them in ways in which we can support our students and our staff and the mission and the vision of Farmington Public Schools. So we've been cultivating relationships, we've been building bridges, and that leads us to events such as this. We had one heck of a student diversity conference. I'm going to allow you guys to see a video that was put together, and then Megan is going to come back and share from a student's perspective what that impact was for her. Okay. Let me see if I can check volume. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure what this volume may sound like. I will adjust it if necessary. What's coming up
It's about you being dope. And nobody can tell you any different. And you having to own the fact that there are things about you that make you special, unique, and completely powerful to change the world you live in.
In this quote here, words may inspire, but only action creates change. So we can sit around and we can talk all day about being a leader, right? We can talk about being a change maker, but the beauty of it is, how do we take those words, how do we take those feelings, how do we take all that warm and fuzziness and angst and anger and happiness and all of that and do something with it.
She says when we can see ourselves as we truly are and accept ourselves, we build the necessary foundation for what? Self-love. And you can't fight for anyone. You can't advocate for anyone. You can't stand in solidarity with anyone without yourself and without yourself showing up whole with all of your identity. Whoever you are, however you were born with the right stuff.
What actually needs to happen, right, is we find out what you as an individual need to be successful in your educational pursuits, whatever that might be. Whether it might be someone to help you take tests, whether you need more time on a test, whether you need your test to be in braille, whatever this means, that is what we talk about when we talk about equity.
Yeah, it's you and me, we make our growth.
So I'm really proud of all of the work our IDEA students have done to plan and prepare for the Student Diversity Conference. They had their hands in the breakout sessions, the dialogue sessions, what students were going to eat, and the overall experience they had. Today was absolutely a great day for Farmington Public Schools, but an even better day for our students. All right. That was awesome. That was awesome. And I'm going to have Megan to come back up, but before she does, one of the sweetest moments for me in leading that charge and partnering with the restorative practice facilitators who truly got me on my feet, to be perfectly honest, and running along and helped me to understand what the boundaries and the borders were, and understood the vision there, was something that's represented here within our profile of a lifelong learner, and that was a self-actualizer. These students planned, they did everything they had to do. They stressed, they challenged one another, they laughed together, but at the end of the day, they saw the fruits of their labor. The goal was actualized right there in front of them. And for them to be a part of that was just amazing. But I'd like again to call Megan up to share what her impact was from the Student Diversity, the IDEA Student Diversity Conference.
Hi again. Personally, I love this conference. I have been to so many different conferences regarding diversity within the past 2 years, and this has by far been my favorite. So whether it was from the speakers to the dancers to the food trucks to the debriefs and the breakout rooms, I think this conference was very representative of the Farmington Hills community. And every year, or every person that I've met within our Student Senate MASC organization, they have been, when they come and meet my friends, they have been like, I haven't seen so many different walks of life. And so I've always said I'm so blessed to live here because when I was in 4th grade, I had a multitude of cultures be within my friend group, and then to see it be in the conference was very enlightening. So I'm going to give you an example. When we would go to lunch in the 4th grade, my Indian friend would have samosas, and nobody would understand what they were, and so she would get a little bullied or made fun of because they didn't understand what that meant because it wasn't within their mindset. But then when you come to a conference where you have food trucks and samplers have samosas and chicken biryani and soul food and Mexican food and everything, where children in such a pertinent time of their lives can understand and taste what they have been missing out on, it's a step towards change in the right direction. So that was my favorite part because I would look at my friends and they would be like, this is so good, but they wouldn't really know what it is until somebody coming from that culture would understand and explain it to them, and then their minds would widen, and you could see the smiles on their faces, and you could see the happiness and the joy from that video, and even within the students. And then we would have breakout sessions, and they would share their experiences and the impact that it has led to them. So I think this conference has allowed the students to be better advocates for themselves and for others because they now have that ideology of other people surrounding them that they can use to be an advocate rather than a bystander. So I loved it. It was so phenomenal. And it was very, like I said, representative of the community and bringing those marginalized groups to light. You can see the Asian Pacific Islander, or even now having Juneteenth as a federal holiday, people can see themselves in positions that they weren't before, and that has been a dream of mine forever, and that's why I want to go into that field of study. And as I go to Howard, I want to continue to bring that because it just makes me so excited to see that the 4th grade self in me is now seeing all the diversity that wasn't shared about before. So it was just absolutely amazing, and I couldn't thank the district enough because you could really see the care and how much time and effort was put in by the adults and the kids to make sure that it was representative of the community. So I thank you guys very, very much.
I just want to say publicly why I'm here. We are extremely grateful for every student that attended, that helped to plan, and that had that experience, every adult that supported, every staff member, every board member, Dr. Delgado, for your work in that. That was truly a game changer. You know, my only hope was that the kids would not leave there the same way that they came. And that, if you just saw the faces within that video, that absolutely was the case for many of them. If you would like to have that video, it was posted actually within our DEI newsletter. I forgot this portion relative to cultivating relationships. This was the June newsletter, but it's also an opportunity for me to highlight our Schools and Communities Department, who has been doing an amazing job with putting together the catching the vision relative to the newsletter. So these may be Greg's words, but what you see as we go throughout is a partnership with the School and Community Office. So if you have not checked out the newsletter, please join the over 10,000 people that have already. And we send that to your emails directly. Okay? All right, so we're going to continue on with our presentation, and we're going to transition to more of the adult-centered pieces. Adult-centered pieces with the purpose of influencing and building up our students and our system. So one of the other pieces within the DEI realm we were able to do was host a number of professional developments, starting with implicit bias training for our ESP staff members, as well as our ancillary staff members. With our ancillary staff members, we were able to partner with ADL, again, who offered the training for that implicit bias. I'm going to skip over restorative practice, as I'm going to have Lindsay and Tamika come and talk and center restorative practice here for a few moments. We've had perception and bias training. This was really an outside of the box training. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie 1001, but there were a million lessons to be taken from that movie relative to perception and bias. And so our community support team, our student support teams, we had sent invites to all. We had an opportunity to go see that movie and have follow-up discussion in PD around those things and our lens as we take students in, no matter what their circumstance and the outcome. You heard from Onisha a few weeks ago relative to the number of social emotional learning trainings that we've had, and then PDs that were offered throughout the course of the year from Oakland schools. At this time, I want to call up Lindsay Moore and Tamika Williams to discuss a bit more around restorative practices and the work in which we do within the schools.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Good evening, board members, Dr. Delgado. My name is Lindsay Moore. I am a former science teacher at East Middle School. I am now the restorative practices facilitator at East Middle School. So restorative practices focuses on intentional relationship building, including repairing harm where harm has been done. I am going to say at the outset that the scope of our work is not all communicable. Some of it we just can't quantify quite how much we do daily, but I'll do my best to give you a good snapshot here. That work is accomplished through a number of supports that are facilitated in the building. I'm going to speak specifically to how it works at East. Assisting staff in using restorative and equity-focused teaching strategies to promote and create more inclusive classrooms through supporting unengaged learners, social discipline balance, tiered interventions and circles, and also cultural relevance. And when I'm working on supporting a teacher with cultural relevance. I support them in any practice that acknowledges, authenticates, and connects the student learning to the cultures and beliefs that are represented in that particular class community. Providing training and professional development opportunities for staff. This generally takes place during staff meetings and pre-scheduled professional development days. Providing coordinated early intervening services for a cohort of general education students to prevent entry into the special ed program through regular check-ins, affective support, and social skill development. Collaborate with administrators to coordinate efforts and create alternatives to traditional suspension. This includes consulting with the administrators, which also sometimes can mean Tom Shelton or our SRO, during a disciplinary decision to advocate for suspension prevention or alternatives in progress. Facilitating formal restorative conferences. When there are incidences in matters of relationship repair that have been unsuccessfully resolved at the classroom level or any other level of support, including any relationship dynamic, student to student, student to faculty, or faculty to faculty. These cases may be referred to me for a formal restorative conference facilitation. I do want to say in reference to the restorative conferences that it is the goal of the restorative framework, not just here in Farmington Schools, but the framework itself, that 20% of the restorative work require facilitation of the formal conference, and it is the hope that 80% is proactively done at the classroom level where most student interaction occurs. So this is something that I'm currently working on intentionally for East in the fall, as this requires significant teacher dedication and training, including the hope that all teachers can be trained formally with the International Institute for Restorative Practices. And so much of my work in the fall will be grounded in preparing teachers for that, and hopefully helping them structure their learning environments around that continuum. Aiding and planning school-wide community building events and advising student organizations, such as Proactive Circles, the Better Together Student Diversity Club, Mental Health Awareness Days, and diversity recognitions. Diversity recognition at East has traditionally been observed as a diversity week. In addition to the school-level diversity club, I advised 2 students who were part of the MSAN that Mr. Smith has already spoken about. And those 2 students did participate in the annual MSAN poster fair in April. So after they finished the entire MSAN program, they participated in that culminating event where they presented an equity action plan that they developed around ableism and bringing more awareness to our students with disabilities. In addition to these 2 students, with one other student, they also participated as facilitators at the district level IDEA Diversity Initiative and collaborated with other students across the district to design and develop the IDEA conference that we just reviewed. And for that conference this year, I also had the opportunity to be a workshop facilitator for understanding, uncovering, and deconstructing our implicit bias. Currently, East does not have a developed mental health awareness day. I did not establish that this year because there's a tradition at East already for May Day Call of Help 8th grade student conference, which incorporates the foundations of mental health awareness, diversity and inclusiveness, and self-awareness and social skills in preparation for entering high school. I am, however, currently reimagining this conference to include the entire student body and possibly just maintaining a portion of the conference for 8th graders where it still can prepare them to go on to high school. There also was not the usual diversity week that has been observed in previous years. Diversity Week is also part of my reimagining frame that I've undertaken for next year as well. After reflecting and reviewing previous initiatives, some of which I experienced as a teacher there, I have not seen really how those have connected to actual student awareness and activism and the advocacy of diversity, inclusiveness, and acceptance in our East community. So I plan to reimagine this effort with the goal to be able to hopefully have some evidence of that attached to the actual effort. Finally, a new initiative at East this year that I implemented was SEL On Demand series. So this is something that I developed shortly after the school year got underway, basically in response to an influx of referrals I was having. And after reviewing, I really felt like those referrals demonstrated actions and behaviors from students that resulted from underdeveloped social emotional skills or unretained social emotional learning. And so the SEL On Demand Support Series offers weekly opportunities for teachers to sign students up to engage in SEL mini lessons with me. Teachers have access to a sign-up sheet and can choose which session they would like students to attend based on a skill focus for a particular month. The program began in October, and session offerings were active listening, October, respect, November, emotional literacy, December, empathy, January, communication, February, integrity, March, mindfulness, April, goal setting, May, resilience, June. And we also extended that program to home. So we developed further the SEL at Home program, which is a monthly focus that I would extend to parents through the parent communications that went out from my administrators. And this was just a way for parents to feel included in our community and to connect the social emotional learning to home. In October, that focused on self-awareness, November, relationship skills, December, optimistic thinking, January, personal responsibility, February, social awareness, March, goal-directed behavior, April, decision-making, May, self-management, and June, gratitude. Thank you.
Good evening again, board. Glad to see everybody. Lindsay did a great job of kind of summarizing. One of the things that we have been really blessed with in our district is having a really close RPF team. And so a lot of what we are doing, we are trying to replicate that in some way or form throughout all our secondary buildings. So she did a great job of kind of outlining what we are doing as an RPF team. Some of the things that I would really highlight again is the philosophy of intentional community building. And that piece I really want to elaborate on is very important, especially in our role as RPFs, that we do build those relationships within our school community. And it starts with working with our administration and having that constant dialogue, not just about suspensions, but about school culture and climate, that we're really trying to make headway with doing that. So we want to protect those relationships. And then again, it trickles down to our staff and then to our students, and then it spreads out into our parent community as well. So we're really putting forth initiatives to highlight that. Our caseloads are, we're like the second parents at the school, or that safe space. I talked a little bit about that when I was here a couple weeks ago with Ms. Martin. And our role as RPFs, we offer another safe space where kids can just have just an opportunity to decompress, let go, because we've seen since the pandemic that kids have bottled up a lot. And we're just another wing of our counseling service. So it's important that we, again, stretch those relationships. Another thing that, just to highlight that piece that Ms. McKinney talked about is representation matters. And so giving kids that voice and that representation through our RPF group, working with Mr. Smith and all of the IDA efforts, representation matters, and kids really need to be able to see someone that they can connect with that is not judgmental in their mindset. And it's the same thing with our staff, not anyone that's evaluative in some capacity, where they can build and get tools and strategies in their toolbox. I do want to make sure that I do highlight that all the initiatives that we do are rooted and based off of data from students and staff, but also off of perception data and just being in the trenches of the work that we do. So we can't quantify everything, but everything that we do is always moving in the best interest of humans. And that's what our role is as RPFs in the building. I will say that we are definitely trying to push forth that professional development for staff to be trained. I was blessed enough to have under Dr. Oh God, Mama. Yeah, Dr. Goodrum and just retired Jackie, Dr. McDougall, sorry, just under their direction, being a certified restorative practice trainer. So I'm glad that the district has given me that opportunity to elevate professionally in that area so that we can build more capacity with our students and our staff. So I will leave it to Mr. Smith, but thank you again for having us, give us a platform to talk about the work that we do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So to honor the time and engagement that you guys have offered us, I'm going to go ahead and wrap my presentation up here within the next 5 minutes or so. All right, so on to some of those larger rocks of alignment of FPS strategic plan and equity audit. One of the things Dr. Delgado tasked me to do this year was to build out an equity audit in partnership with our school administrators. This was a direct response to what the equity audit said per each building and our response, our behaviors from adults to students and how we were going to support those pieces. That is also linked there for the sake of time. I'll just cover that piece. We have started the process of a course selection review of active and inactive courses. This is to reimagine or look at some of the things that we already have in place to show representation, to give access to students to take interest in those pieces, as well as partnering with MTSS and the Equity Innovation Strategic Plan. Continued data and review, and Tamika just mentioned some of that. Each year we do a perception and engagement survey. And we won't stop to kind of go over those pieces, but that is an example of the information that we use to inform how we move forward and support our students, our systems, and systems within the district. We have engagement, the equity audit, engagement, perception, race and ethnicity representation. That is connected to the work that HR is beginning and we're partnering with relative to the attract, recruit, and keep model. All right, and then as always, student growth and achievement data. I'm not going to stop here. This piece just kind of talks through belonging at school, right? This is what we use to inform some of the decisions and supports. I will end by sharing some of the goals and objectives to strengthen the DEI connection to each student's educational experience, the mission and vision, which has been redone here within the district, and the profile of a learner. To build out, to continue that work, to drill down and build out the Equity and Innovation Strategic Plan and identify ways to increase race, ethnicity, and cultural staff representation, which is one of the reoccurring pieces that we heard throughout the course of the year. I have here the FPS mission, vision, and profile of a learner because that will be our gauge as we move forward in our work. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and we are grateful for this opportunity to serve.
So first, I want to thank all of you who took the time to come and present to the board. This is definitely something that we as a district have made a clear effort in working on. Mr. Smith and all of your roles, just trying to start, looking in January and coming forward with where we are as of now. It's great to see the steps that have been taken will continue to happen as we move forward. Also, what's great with all of these efforts is it kind of takes that basic idea of respecting all people and expands it with all of these initiatives. So it's kind of a reminder that we don't just stop at just respecting others, which is kind of a more passive baseline of we should be doing that no matter what, right? And then this is the active acceptance that we are looking for and are striving for in our district, and this is something that we continue to make and put at the forefront of our initiatives. So thank you so much. And you know, this is just a great start, and I know that you are going to continue working on this, so thank you.
Ms. Wayne?
Yeah, I share everything that Mr. Rich said. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you to those of you who came in. I particularly enjoy watching the video. That was really good, and I also enjoy hearing from Megan. What resonated with me was her circle of friends and how diverse it is. I've actually seen that. I've seen that with a lot of my own circle and my kids' circle. It's a beautiful thing, and I think, you know, creating these opportunities to intentionally support inclusion and is very important. Quickly sharing a story similar to yours about the food. I was working with a young woman who was seconded from China, and I noticed that every day she was secluded, and not intentionally, but because she was not part of the conversation. She didn't watch the same television shows that we watched. She didn't listen to the same music that we listened to. She didn't share the same food that we enjoyed. And so it was about intentionally stepping back and noticing that and being more inclusive. So I appreciate that you guys had the opportunity to help create the conference that you wanted, and that it turned out to be great, and that you enjoyed it and got something from it. And I have no doubt that you're going to do really, really great things in the future. Thank you for sharing with us.
So I do agree that the presentation was excellent, but I do have one question for you, if you would not mind, just for, a moment, in terms of what are the action items that is aligned to the No Place for Hate?
So,
can you give me a little bit more than?
Yeah, and actually, Mr. Rich kind of talked through it. The No Place for Hate, and you'll also be able to see it, which I did not present, but and I can share in each building's equity audit action plan. It is there and it aligns to certain things. The bottom line is this: is what we found in many of the audits was that we had to make a transition from talking and researching and observing to action.
Yes.
And we had to do it with our students. We had to do it with our staff. No Place for Hate is going to give us that opportunity to do that. Now, many buildings, in fact, all buildings have been taking those steps, right? This is just a unified step in which we'll take at the discretion of that building principal in moving forward with this program. But as Mr. Rich said, it is beyond that surface area of respect, right? We're going a bit deeper into avenues and experiences that are lived experience that our kids have every single day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Hyde.
Yeah, not to belabor, but when we talk about student achievement, and it's just important to acknowledge the work that is so important, that every child is recognized, and all these systems of support are in place for the staff, for the students, for everybody to see themselves and really, realize or treat each child as an individual, but to meet the needs of every student, and just the environment and the culture in our school district and our commitment to it. I commend our whole community and our whole school district and thank you for the work that you're doing, and just to highlight some of the things. And you just, as a teacher, you don't always think about those things, and it's just so nice to have all of those systems in place for the support and appreciation for that.
Absolutely, I agree, and this is located right here in our vision, where it talks about each and every, and we're taking that serious. Each and every student, each and every staff member.
I wanted to thank you all again. I know we spent a lot of time on this, but it was really helpful to hear some of the specifics about what the students are doing and how that is for you and what that contributes to your learning and life experience, and the kinds of the ways in which, the specific ways in which you are supporting students and faculty at the building level. It's truly amazing, and again, to echo my colleagues, my board colleagues, it's not enough to just say we treat each other with respect. It's about providing our staff and students with the skills so that they can do that. It's action. It's not just a word on the wall. And I'm really, really proud of what we're doing, and I'm so grateful to all that you do each and every day. You said something about learning how to be an advocate for others. I know it's not measured on any standardized test, but I really think it will help us have a better world. And so whether or not it affects our NWEA scores, our MSTEP scores, or our PSAT scores, I'm really grateful for our district's commitment to this important work. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Blau, and thank you, Mr. Smith, and everyone for presenting this very, very important work. And our last district presentation, Mr. Smith ended with the refreshed mission and vision, and it kind of dovetails nicely into our last report of the year, our end of the year goal progress report with Mrs. Hendrickson and Dr. Coffin.
Hi, good evening. Tonight we're going to present for you what is required in legislation under 98B for our extended learning plan. So we presented to you earlier this school year. So tonight we'll be sharing the growth data as required in math and reading. We're going to go through this presentation. The board had the opportunity to talk about a little bit about this at a board retreat most recently. And you have the information in your packet, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll turn over to Margaret.
Good evening, Dr. Delgado and members of the Board of Education. I do have to acknowledge Nanette Suarez could not be here this evening, but I need to thank her for all the work she does to continually push out some data analysis as we ask more and more inquiry questions. So I told her not to watch tonight because she should be on vacation this evening, although she's working all week, but tonight, you know, stop working at night in the summertime. So thank you, Nanette Suarez, for doing that. So what we're going to do is share a little bit about the broad visualizations we've made of the data, and then what our response has been this year and how we're adding on to that response next year. We'll do that first for literacy, then mathematics, and then we'll do a quick walkthrough of the raw data visualization that we provided to the Board of Education. We know that 54% of our students met or exceeded their growth projections. Our K-2 students continue to outperform our grade 3 through 5 and 6 through 8 peers. They continue to be above the national norm in terms of percent meeting their growth projections, and we did see some slight to moderate gains depending on the grade level over this time last year. Our grades 3 through 5, our grades 6 through 8, 3 through 5 is kind of sitting at the national norm, with 6 through 8 kind of being a little bit below, but we did see some slight gains over this time last year. And when you see the raw data, you'll see what we mean by slight to moderate to significant. As we think about the work at the elementary and secondary level, we're continuing to support our staff participating in state-sponsored learning called LETRS training, which really supports them in their foundational knowledge around foundational reading and writing. But in addition to this professional development, the work closest to the classroom has been our work around Lexia Core 5, as well as EL Skills Block, which I'm going to share a little bit more information about. Lexia Core 5 is a computer adaptive program that works alongside classroom instruction. And what we notice through our program evaluation this year is that if students meet their usage requirements for the program each week, we can see 1 to more grade levels of material growth for those students. So we've been looking at that data, and we'll continue to use NWEA in the coming year with a focus on increasing usage. Because what we noticed, if you look on, so we looked classroom by classroom, and we noticed where usage was and where growth was. So we're going to continue to use Lexia in the coming school year. We are also very excited about that movement forward with the K-2 Skills Block professional development. We've dug deeper into our preview classrooms that have been using that resource. And as stated in the spring for adoption, our EL Skills Block, the growth of students in a classroom with EL Skills Block and instructional coaching shows high achievement and high growth gains. So we're very excited as we move into the coming year to put that into action. In fact, we've had staff today participating in professional development around EL Skills 1. As we think about our secondary work and responding to that data, this year we had an intervention elective class for literacy. We took a look at the data and we're shifting it to a push-in and pull-out model and not making it an elective class and using some strategic research-based class strategies so we have more students accessing the same types of specialized instruction as opposed to a pull-out elective class. We're continuing to do professional development in the area of ELA. We're continuing to offer different classes at the high school level to support students that are in different areas of their learning, as well as adding a secondary MTSS coach position for the coming school year. As we look at mathematics, 50% of our students in K-8 met or exceeded their growth projections. We're continuing to see K-1 outperform the national norm, with some slight gains over this time last year. Grade 2 kind of stayed at the national norm placement. At 3 through 5 and 6 through 8, though, we did see we're still a little bit below the national norm, and we did see some declines, moderate to significant or slight, depending on the grade level, and we've been looking very closely at that. As we think about the work this year and continuing to the coming year, just as in the elementary letters training that we're offering in the area of literacy, we've been increasing the volume of staff participating in math recovery training. So we're going to continue to make sure our staff are supported in that area. But as we think closest to the classroom, I want to speak to Dreambox as well as our math specialist positions that we're adding for the coming school year. Just like Lexia, Dreambox is a computer adaptive program that works alongside core instruction. And when students, again, when we did program evaluation of Dreambox, we noticed that students with higher usage related to what was expected in that program, we saw multiple grade levels of growth. And so we're continuing to use that in the coming school year. But what's important is as we did some case studies of individual classrooms to see where we had strength in growth and achievement, we noticed that teachers that were using the adopted everyday math curriculum that we brought in right before the pandemic, Dreambox, the computer adaptive programming, and made use of the numeracy games that are part of our everyday math curriculum, we saw high growth and high achievement. And so as we move into the coming year, we have specific professional development plans around Dreambox, everyday math, and the numeracy games to specifically support our 3 through 5 students, as that was a performance gap in our data. But I also want to add that we're adding some positions, elementary math specialists, at the 3 through 5 in targeted buildings where the data tells us we need some extra support in Tier 3, meeting with small groups, as well as support for the classroom teachers, part of Tier 1, micro-modeling some number sense routines and games, which our data is telling us is some area of growth for us. As we think about secondary mathematics, we're continuing to expand the Dreambox program into the middle school to support growth. We used it with a smaller number of students this year and found some growth for them, so we were expanding that. Just like literacy, we had an intervention support class that was an elective for mathematics. We're shifting it to a non-elective push-in, pull-out model in order to increase access to more students, as well as to kind of refine our strategies for small group intervention support. We're continuing to do professional development. We're continuing to have specific math course offerings that meet the needs of different students at our high school level. And again, we're adding that secondary MTSS coach position in the coming school year. One of the unique pieces that we're starting in middle school and high school this year as part of our response to the data is what other internal data could we use to respond to in the moment and inform instruction. So Colleen Stan, the math science coordinator, has been working with our middle school and high school teams to build internal task-based assessments on our priority standards, develop rubric for those, and have all staff give those assessments. And what we did was we increased the rigor of the assessments to kind of see where our students were at. And we're starting to collect the data. You see in the middle school, we have about 32.7% of our students were where we were hoping them to be at a level 3, 3.5, or 4 in the rubric. And at high school, it was 53%. And so what we're starting to do is see where our NWA places us, our PSAT data places us, but what are our internal common assessment tasks that we can use to inform our instruction we're giving kids and seeing the impact on some specific outcomes over short periods of time. The high school, we have some data that we're very excited that will be coming. So PSAT 9, 10, and SAT 11, which we just took as part of our state assessment, is coming this summer. We'll get that data. So we're looking to see how last year's data compares to this year's data, because that's an important way in which we monitor our high school performance in literacy and mathematics. We're also continuing to monitor our students' performance in the AP classes. We have a long-standing high set of AP classes that many of our students participate in, so we're looking forward to those coming scores. We continue to monitor our access to CTE classes and our students' performance in those classes, which are very transfer-based applied classes. And the high schools also monitor their grade distribution every semester. So I do apologize. I think I had semester 1 data in here and then got semester 2 data literally yesterday. So I apologize for the little error in the PowerPoint, but we've been monitoring those grade distributions as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for clarifying me. Semester 1 was the same as semester 2. Now I'm remembering what I did. Okay. So all of the trends that we talked about at the beginning of this presentation was based on the following raw data set that Ms. Nanette Suarez helped create our visualizations for. The data is specific to reporting on our 2 growth goals around literacy and mathematics. Our goals are based on literacy and mathematics growth as determined by the extended learning plan requirement. But we do always, with NWA, also assess where our students are with achievement. And what we notice by grade level and subject is that we are often at the average, high average, or high achievement bands in our performance on NWA. But we want to make sure, regardless of the achievement band a student is in, that we are promoting growth for them, wherever their starting place is. And so as we monitor growth, here you'll see reading by grade level, and you can see where we're above the district percent and where we're below the district percent in terms of all students meeting their projected growth targets. And you're only seeing some slight gains compared to this time last year, which is the areas in orange. We also make sure that we monitor our subgroups. We often find that there's a little plateau where our subgroups are performing very similarly, but you'll notice some slight gains over this time last year, with special ed making the biggest gain compared to this time last year. Mathematics, the same way. As we look at our grade level data, we can see where the all students are, which was 50%. And you're noticing we're having grade bands that are outperforming the all students or are at or below. So this is the data we're working closely in as we go from building to buildings data. And we were surprised to see those significant drops at grades 3, 4, and 5, which we noted at the beginning of the presentation. Hence, the shift in our plans for the coming school year for 3, 4, and 5. Again, we continue to look at our subgroups. And as part of the legislative requirement, we do report out what our growth has looked like for our in-person compared to our remote students. So thank you for being with us. I was excited to be with you at a board retreat where we were able to talk about some of this data and the work that we're doing, and just having an opportunity to give you a kind of a broad overview here tonight. So thank you very much.
Ms. Hyman?
Yeah, I kind of caught my eye when you were talking about literacy, and you said you had elective classes that you're replacing with push and pull out type thing, and then later on you said the same thing with mathematics.
Yep.
Could you maybe elaborate on that a little bit? So rather than saying, do you want to take this class, the teacher is like, you need it, and so you're going?
So historically, we looked at certain data sets for students at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in both literacy and mathematics and identified an elective support class, which means they would lose one of their elective classes like music or gym or art. And we know that that's valuable for their overall learning experience as students. And so the other piece is that students would choose not to, or parents would choose not to participate in that course because of that loss, and it was a legitimate concern and loss. So what we did is we looked at the number of students that were being serviced in the elective model. We decided to use the flexibility that's in the middle school teaming. Remember this year we did a big middle school teaming shift, which allows us to think much more flexibly about time. So if we do a push-in or pull-out model where the support math and literacy people go into the classroom or pull students out for shorter periods of time in the flexible structure, they're able to access their elective courses, which then allows them to think about opportunities in high school. It allows them to build those other competencies, and we do know students in music and art do better in reading and writing. And so we're actually having a much bigger partnership between the math and literacy specialist support people and the classroom teacher to support the students. And they're looking at ongoing data to identify groups, ongoing data to see where the needs are. And we're using the research practices from the elective classes that we know work because we saw growth in students, and we're allowing greater access. We're also targeting which grade levels need that support the most at any given time or year. So creating a lot more flexibility so we don't isolate our students from other opportunities.
So who's doing the push and pull out? Are those district staff or?
Yeah,
is that-
so this year, we had expanded the number of math and literacy support people at each of the middle schools. And so what we're doing is continuing to use that resource that we added this year through our funding, but restructure the model that they're providing the support in order to maximize reach and impact.
It's interesting that, one might think, well, let's take the students who are struggling and let's take them out and have them have a whole class dedicated just to their level. Mm-hmm. But in practice, it falls apart because students can elect to participate or not, and they don't want to miss out on their electives. A lot of our students who struggle with things like reading or math, those are some of their strengths. And as you mentioned, those also build strength in the core competencies of ELA and math, so we don't want to deprive them of those opportunities. And so while some might look at it and say, well, it makes more sense to pull them out into this one class, actually, it doesn't. And we'll be better able to meet those students' needs and even more students by this push in and pull out model.
And this is an example of when Dr. Coffin talks about we need to restructure to support students. Sometimes the way we're currently structured creates limitations in our ability to accelerate growth. So this is an example of us restructuring for a purpose.
I also am really impressed with the way that we have taken the data that we just got to set our course for where we need to target our efforts for the coming year and our resources. Yes.
Yeah, and I just had another question. You talked about Lexi and Dreambox
Yes.
and how teachers that were using it had better success models. And so are you looking for more using it within the school day as opposed to just a supplement outside of the school day and just ways for teachers to incorporate that into the classroom?
So what we've learned is that as we've investigated with different usage models for Dreambox and Lexia, that some models tend to be more effective than other models. And so from learning from that, we're going to provide guidance to teachers.
Excuse me, could we have quiet in the house? Thank you.
Through expectations and additional support to maximize the use of those tools during that school day. And then outside of the school day is an additional time for them.
Okay.
You mentioned in the report this secondary data, data for secondary programming, I should say, is coming out during the summertime.
Excuse me, could we have quiet in the house, please? Thank you.
Do we have an expectation or a date that we're looking at when that might be coming to us, and when might we be able to give presentation on that information?
We would hope tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But whilst the good news is individual students have received their College Board score reports, but we have to wait for the state to aggregate that data, then they release it to us. We have an opportunity to disaggregate it, and they keep it under embargo for a period of time. And once that's released, we can share it with the Board of Education. So generally, we start to see it in August, where they release the raw data set. And to be honest, sometimes it's not until September that it's disembargoed, but we try to anticipate an August release. So we try to do all of our internal analysis before the start of the school year. And we usually communicate with Dr. Delgado when that embargo window is, when we can expect to maybe have it lifted. But usually we don't know until about a day or two before it gets actually lifted. So we try to prepare that data ahead for Dr. Delgado and our principals to see.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Weems.
So, thank you. First of all, thank you for reporting out on the goals. I know that this is a lot of work, and I especially appreciate not just assessing where we are, but really digging in and understanding the data. What was clear to me, and I'm glad that we have this follow-up presentation, because going through it on Saturday was extremely helpful, but we all had lots of questions, and so we didn't get through all of the material, so thank you for making it available. But as it relates to responding to the data and responding to the results, I'm really appreciating that you're digging in to kind of understand what research-based practices are working and what we need to do going forward. So as an example, this presentation shows me that we have the right tools. The research suggests, and our data supports, that when at the elementary school level, 84% of the students using the tools are advancing one or more grade levels. That says to me that the tools are working. But what we recognize is that there aren't the students who aren't using it. We've got to do something to address the implementation or the execution sort of more consistently, so that all of our kids get the benefit of and leverage the tools that we have. Similarly, at the middle school level, it appears that when our students are completing the assignments that we've given and running through the curriculum that we have at the middle school level, that they're growing 125%. And those that do not complete the assessments are, moving forward at half the rate. So it says to me that we've got the right tools, you guys are on the right track, and sort of ensuring that we're applying all of the tools, and that the students get the ability to leverage the tools with fidelity is where we're going to move going forward. So thank you for all of that. Again, I love that you're reviewing the data and that we're going to be able to move the needle. I also appreciate that we're investing more time in staff and in professional development. That is the number one biggest bang for the buck, right, is making sure that our staff are well equipped to be able to teach our kids, understand the tools, are appropriately leveraging them, and have the supports that they need to be able to support our kids. So I love that we're doing that. I also appreciate that you're leveraging the data to understand where we need to add some additional supports or specialists to make sure that we're responding to needs. So I appreciate the presentation. I feel like we are moving in the right direction.
And I would just like to do a shout out to our director, Chris O'Brien, who's supporting our MTSS, and it really has kind of launched this year us reinvesting in program evaluation. And program evaluation is monitoring what you're doing. It's not always about getting rid of it right away. It's about learning all the nuances of implementation and the model, the professional learning, and the reach to make strategic, intentional decisions. So I appreciate his leadership in that area, and I know that's been one of the intentions of Dr. Delgado, which I think has added a new part to the data conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And those are the end of our district updates.
That's it? Sure.
Just a few things to share tonight.
Wow. Wow. All right. Thank you, Dr. Delgado. Next, we have our reports from board committees. From the Legislative Committee, we met just last week. And over the last few meetings, we have determined that we have accomplished the goals that we set for ourselves 2 years ago when we first formed a legislative committee on our board. And now we are ready to hand over all that we have learned about the Michigan Merit Curriculum Standards and the actual powers that we already have as a board to we don't have the power to change the Michigan Merit Curriculum requirements, but as a board, we do have the power as a local board to determine what courses and what, learning opportunities satisfy those particular MMC requirements. So now it is up to Dr. Delgado and his team to take that information and reimagine what we want our high schools and middle schools to look like. And then we'll come back into the picture to help with the structuring of that so that we can make sure that we're providing educational opportunities that best prepare our students for success and happiness in their lives in the 21st century going forward. Our profile of lifelong learner is a start. Our new mission and vision are another piece of that puzzle, and now we'll take that information together with what our legislative committee has learned over the past couple of years and move forward. So congratulations to our legislative committee. We have completed our task. That's my report. Next, we have the policy committee. Ms. Fox?
Thank you. The policy meeting was held on June 15th, and the committee presented itself with Claudia Heinrich, Terry Weems, myself, Dr. Delgado. Our discussion items are as forward. The committee members discussed creative and innovative policies to help with students' achievement and stretch goals. The committee also reviewed the district current policies to ensure alignment with the profile of the lifelong learner. We will continue to delve into this topic deeper as we go forward with our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. Next, we have discussion items. Dr. Delgado?
Thank you, Dr. Blau, and I believe Mr. John Barth is going to come up and discuss the MEC, this building, Maxfield Educational Center, furniture purchase recommendation.
I won't be as long-winded as Greg was, but I appreciated his presentation. It was great. And I'll make this quick. Facilities is recommending the purchase of furniture for MEC. I sent in the board packet the information that included pricing, the layout. I have to thank Chris O'Brien, who basically assessed what we had. A lot of it was really unusable again for the new space, and we want this place to look gorgeous, which it will. But he was the impetus to promote this idea forward and get this furniture selected, so I really appreciate his work with that. So the new furniture is very similar in quality to the furniture you see in the boardroom. It's from the same company, which is Han, and Han always gives lifetime warranties with their furniture, so if there's ever a wheel that falls off or an arm breaks or whatever, they just replace the whole chair. So buying this furniture is a good investment, that's why it's a little more expensive, but we have consortium pricing, which gives us about 45% off this price. So that'll be delivered and installed. It's no cost to install. So I think it's a great purchase for this building in particular because of what we've done to this building. If you've had a chance to walk through it, it's actually gorgeous. I mean, it's really a new building, new mechanicals. So we're pretty excited. Again, this is a purchase that was off list, a lot off list, 45%. The cost was right within budget, what we budgeted for. We have not expended our FF&E for this building, so there's opportunities to buy more furniture or fill the space with additional needs. So my recommendation is that the board approve a purchase in the amount of $40,575.77 to come from the 2020 Capital Projects Building and Site Fund, FF&E. Questions?
Yes, Ms. Reese.
Yes, I had some questions, and I want to thank you for being super responsive and answering them right away. But just so that my fellow board members know, I, am the accountant and was, I'm frugal. And so I thought that the pricing was a bit much just because I don't regularly buy these types of items. But I actually, I don't personally, but my company does. We're involved in a lot of renovations. And so I took a look at some of our pricing. We also do some, it's called My Deal, state negotiated pricing, and very comparable. In fact, when I took a look on my own, I noticed that some of the pricing that we got was actually 50% off. So I'm very happy with the work that you guys have done, and thank you for answering my questions.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have public comment. If you wish to make a comment, please fill out one of the cards. Ms. Sharon, are they on that table now? Are they on that table?
Yes.
Ms. Sharon?
Yes.
They're on that table, right? The cards? Yes, yes. They used to be there. Now they're there. Bring it up and put it in the aqua ceramic dish here, and we will call you up for public comment. The timer will be on the screen, and each community member will have 3 minutes. Again, we won't have an opportunity to respond to your public comments in this venue, but we are happy to meet with you at another time to discuss any issues that are of concern for you or others. Okay. Linda, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Yes. Shtakovich. Thank you. Come on up.
It's very diverse.
Yes.
I actually am representing two people. First comments, very, very brief, are from me. Second comments are from Dr. Eugene Greenstein. He was unable to attend tonight because of a conflict, so I'd like to share his comments and read them separately, if that's okay with you guys. So, my first comments, that presentation on literacy and mathematics is fantastic. That's the first time I personally, as a community member in this district, have seen any information on that. So my question to you is, why isn't this being published? Why are you sharing this at an off-site retreat where at the beginning, Cheryl, you say, oh, we aren't having meetings offline and talking about these issues? Of course you are. That's of course what you do. You're a board. So bottom line, you detailed and reviewed those results. The screens were flashing by, so we couldn't read the details, nor could we ask questions. So that needs, in my opinion, to be communicated to the community so people can review the information, make sure it's clear to everybody, because I'm not an educator. That's not what I did for a living. But so we understand what this means, because when you read those percentages and listen to what she said, some of it is misleading. And it's important people understand that there are children that are having challenges, and we do need to focus on them. So that's my suggestion. Take it for whatever you'd like. Next, I am representing Dr. Greenstein. Tuesday is a night for my lifelong learning journey. The following is my report card for the board's performance for the 2022 to 23 school year. The best way I can describe the board's performance for the past year is the word abysmal. Why would I say that? First, the board does not have goals and objectives that represent the expectations of the parents and the taxpayers of Farmington and Farmington Hills. Next, given the concept of a lifelong learner, one would think that literacy would be top on the list of goals given the abysmal performance of our schools based on the state's test data. The only literacy goal is for the board to learn how to understand the state literacy metrics. Grade on that is clearly D-. Next, there is no sense of urgency to resolve this problem, which was flagged by myself, Eugene, and others over a year ago. Sadly, long-term board members were not aware of the problems. Next, to the school's credit, at the end of January, it was recognized that moving to a phonics-based...
I'm sorry, Linda, that's time.
Oh, thank you.
We did receive the email.
That's fine, but it's not presented, so it's not...
I understand,
captured.
but each community member only has 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Next, we have Randy Odell or Odeck, I'm not sure. Is it Odell?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
I'll just be continuing to read this letter. To the school's credit, at the end of January, it was recognized that moving to a phonics-based curriculum would be a major improvement to grade K through 2. Unfortunately, it left out all the other grades and a mechanism to catch students up. Graduating students who can't read is a crime against humanity. Accelerated tutoring was proposed but never spelled out in detail, and then we were told there was a shortage of tutors. There was never an answer to where we were using the tutors we had or how many we were short. We can't solve a problem unless we have the data. In the budget scheduled to be approved, there is no line item for literacy, let alone a business objective to make literacy a priority. How do we know how we will have enough tutors next year unless it is spelled out in the budget with a clear objective? I could not find anywhere in the DEI proposal a line for the importance of teaching respect for all people. As I have mentioned before, my organization at work was made up of a multitude of colors and religions, with the guiding principle being respect for all and technical excellence. Also, a mistake was not a mistake unless we fail to learn from it. Yet the FPS program talks about the implicit bias training and anti-hate, emphasizing negative instead of positive attributes like respect. It was amazing that we learned on the playground as kids playing ball, where all that mattered was that you hit and catch and have enough kids to fill out the 9 positions if you were lucky. I got to play because my friend, who was a star athlete, would not play unless less accomplished friends were given a position. That was a lifelong lesson on friendship and respect. Students need to learn to be problem solvers, yet at the June dialogue meeting, the fact that one school was significantly behind in academic performance was deemed an unacceptable statement to be discussed. If we can't speak to problems, we can't solve them. Tolerating a significantly underperforming school is unacceptable. This board has a lot of work to do. It needs to learn the basics of Management 101 and apply them. It needs to apply what it means to be a lifelong learner instead of letting it be used as a nice-sounding buzzword. The present budget should not be approved till the basic questions are asked and answers proposed that fix a broken school system.
That's time.
All right.
Thank
This
you.
is Eugene Greenstein,
Yes, we know.
PhD.
Thank you. Mr. Bill Lubaway.
Good evening. I'd like to talk about rejecting a budget that doesn't plan to improve education. How stingy can the board be when it comes to improving student education? On March 8, 2022, the Farmington School Board addressed FAPN's proposal to provide snacks, etc. for Super Saturday free tutoring for about 90 students. Volunteers provide the tutoring. The district did not offer to pay for these costs. Instead, others stepped up to pay. At the same time, the district was sitting on $8 million of excess funds and was in the midst of spending $20 million of state and federal funds. Importantly, 500-plus students are deemed not proficient in literacy and numeracy, and tutors were not assigned to address these students' needs. Now comes the 2023-24 budget, in which the district proposes to spend $170 million, which is $27 million more than spent in 2021 and 22. Teaching staff has not changed in the budget. No plan for tutoring or high-dosage tutoring is identified. $8 million still sits in the bank account, not used for students. No education initiatives are identified in the budget, dollars or narrative. Will the district students realize a $27 million improvement in literacy and numeracy? Reject the 2023-24 budget until such time as an education plan is presented concurrent with the financial budget. The education plan cannot be a basic statement or wish as has been done historically. It must be a clearly drawn pathway to success and a way to state not just what is wanted, but what the district will do to accomplish it. We're not buying any more snake oil. And that was an interesting presentation. It would have been nice to see that ahead of time. It'd be nice to get more detail on it, since I hope so, but it doesn't answer the question. This board doesn't set goals, and we don't know where they're going. I don't know why we should believe you.
Thank you, Mr. Leboy. Next, we have Chris Gianchi.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'd like to acknowledge the winners of this year's FEA scholarships. Kelly Simpson from North Farmington, Quentin Campbell from Farmington High, and Lauren Greenwood from Farmington Central High School. Each year, the FEA awards a scholarship to a senior at each of the district's high school, and they've been doing this for over 40 years. Applicants for this scholarship have to have a connection to education, whether it's a family member that's in education or a desire to be an educator themselves. The money for this scholarship comes directly from donations. We had a very successful bucket check payroll deduction drive in the fall when we came back to school, working with the Farmington Hills Foundation. We were able to fund most of the scholarship and have money for the foundation, and then we kind of started to increase our advocacy because what we had been giving doesn't carry in 2023 what it did in 1993. In the fall, we had some auctions among the teachers. We auctioned off tickets to sporting events with 100% of the proceeds went into the scholarship fund, and we received other donations from outside sources. This year, we are bringing back our scholarship golf outing. We have not had it since 2009, so that will be August 25th at Salem Hills Golf Course. I'd like to thank Diane Bauman for helping us publicize this event, and you may see flyers throughout the community. I'd like to thank Chris Gregg and Dave Roggenkamp with the foundation, who have also helped us tremendously with processing the payments and working with our sponsors. This year, our scholarship, we received some extra money from former Farmington employees. I received a communication from a man in Colorado who used to be an employee in Farmington Public Schools. He was actually a past president of the FEA in the 80s. And one of his friends, a teacher from East Middle School, had recently passed away. His name was Raymond Naglick. And Ray's wife had said in lieu of flowers, they would like to donate money in Ray's name. And so they contacted me and asked if we still have the FEA scholarship fund. I was overjoyed to hear from him, and we've been communicating regularly ever since. And actually, we've received some more donations from them because Farmington still holds a special place in their heart. Mr. Miner, who's a past president of the FEA, sent me this communication that I wanted to share with the board as well. He said, over the years, the FEA and the FPS administration developed an understanding and respectful awareness of our joint responsibility to the teachers in the community. It was a great place to be employed. I feel over the past 3 years with this board and under Dr. Delgado's leadership, we have gotten back to that place of respectful awareness and collaboration that we owe the employees in this district, and the community we serve, and the students we serve. And I want to thank you and have a wonderful summer.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mark Forche?
This is from James Lindsay, who wrote The Marxist Underpinnings of the Modern Education, among other books. And he says, this is a genuine example of a social-emotional SEL teacher training. It was a professional development module that was done in Indiana a few years ago. It's a genuine example given to actual teachers in the profession. They were given a second grade mathematics as an example and given a word problem. Johnny's riding in the car with his mom and dad on the way to the amusement park. The amusement park is 50 miles away. They already have gone 30 miles. How much further do they have to go? The students panic. Oh no, we don't know. But a good math instructor will set it up so they know that 50 minus 30 and arrive at 20. And children can do that. It's not that difficult. And then the children would re-articulate, well, they have 20 miles to go. But instead, the teacher training professional development courses are taught with this. With kids, you need to get engaged. That's just good teaching. You have to have engaged students. Without engagement, they won't learn. Kids, raise your hand. Have you ever been to an amusement park? And some will and some won't. And some of you haven't. Why would that be? Now the mediator has happened. The generative theme is the amusement park. That's the excuse to do what we're going to do next. Who's been doing amusement park? And then it goes on. You can start to see what happens at, they're taught to ask one another until somebody says, well, some kids can't afford it. Now you have an excuse to say, why is it that some people can't afford it? And then they get to, well, maybe rich people could afford it. All of a sudden you have a dialogue about concepts of socialism with second graders. The word problem has become a mediator to a political conversation, but there are dozens of opportunities in this one simple, innocuous word problem that the amusement park, about the amusement park. You have the money thing, you can have a discussion about mom and dad, some kids have single parents, some you could get into feminists, single-sex parents, then on to sexuality, riding in the car, that's environmentalism. So this is what Lindsay is getting at, is so much teaching is all these diversions. Just stick to the simple problem of this math, or whatever subject is being taught. All this other time wasted on politicizing students, it's just that, a waste. And when parents know something's wrong, something's off about the schools, this is it. This is a big factor why grades are down and schools are certainly not what they used to be. I went to a public school and they were not like this, and we need a whole new...
Thank you, Mr. Forshee. Mr. Thomas Hall.
Good evening, Board. I'd like to say thank you for your support for FAPN this year. We have received a lot of tutors over the past months that we've been having that. We've been actually very successful to have pretty much like almost a one-to-one ratio a lot of times. And also with we have been receiving a lot of resources through different grants and foundations, and one particular, the Farmington Education Foundation, which put us on its dockets to help with a lot of the costs that we have incurred for like ACT, SAT training and other programs that we're having in the future. We've got another grant to help out with the snacks and resources like that, which that a lot of people have been coming up towards us, hey, what do you need to help and everything like that. I really appreciate that. So we are getting the support from the district and manpower and financial also. And I'd like to thank you on behalf of FAPN and all the students and everyone that's in the district, which I allude to a little shameless promotion here. We're having this Monday, June 26th, we're having at the Silver Dairy right there on Grand River between 12 to 9:30 p.m. All the proceeds that are raised, like 15% of the proceeds, I should say, are going to help FAPN with a lot of its programs for the community. So, I never really met a person who don't really like ice cream. Some people can't have ice cream, but they still like the taste and whatnot. And we really appreciate for everyone to come out and support, because when you're giving to FAPN, you're giving to the community, and you can actually see with the actual dollars and with the actual where you can see it's actually making a meaning to everyone. So I appreciate everything, and we look forward to starting back up September, October of next year.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Hang on 1 second. Let me do it. Ms. Kelly Goldberg.
Good evening. I wanted to address three things. One is, in case the public is not aware, there's extensive documentation and links in the board agendas prior to meetings, and I believe all the budget documentation that was so carefully prepared by Ms. Kaminski and her office was available prior to the last meeting, and you can download it, you can print it, and a lot of that information is out there. Secondly, in looking at literacy, and I'm speaking as a parent who no longer has kids in the schools, I don't know what it looks like now, but I'm aware that parents were not permitted in the schools because of the pandemic, and I don't know if there's been any effort to reintegrate volunteer adults, but I work at a not-for-profit agency where volunteers are bedrock. Aside from our professional staff, we could not exist without our volunteers, and I'm wondering if, there's a way to sort of power that up again. Obviously, there were background checks done and all of that because you want to make sure, that the people coming into schools are safe for children. So that was all I wanted to say. And I just want to give a shout out to the 2023 graduates and staff who got them to this, threshold and, through really, really tough times. I have a 2023 MSU graduate, so, those years did not look the way anyone expected. So that was all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? Seeing no further public comment is now closed. Dr. Ball? Yes. Want to say something? Not a
Just very briefly, I just want to acknowledge that I really appreciate public comment. I really appreciate those who come to advocate. I'm an advocate for public comment, and I believe it's very important to hear diverse perspectives, including those that do not align with what I believe. But every now and then something is said that's kind of hard to hear, and I feel the need to kind of break protocol when I hear inaccuracies, because it's very important to me that we don't have the public go off and think that something is inaccurate. There's a couple of things. One, there was a mention of board members meeting off-site, somehow implying that we're off doing something in secret. That is not the case. We are not meeting in secret. We have made known several times that our board is committed to day-long retreats. This is necessary for us to get ourselves immersed in data. That is something that we could never do at a board meeting. Otherwise, we'd be here for 9 hours.
And they are posted.
And they are posted. Those are posted meetings. In fact, some community members have been to those retreats. They're posted public meetings. So I just wanted to make sure that people don't walk away thinking that the board is somehow meeting in secret. One other comment, there's frequent references to Farmington graduates graduating illiterate. That is not accurate. We do not graduate illiterate students. That is not happening. And finally, I just caution folks who acknowledge that they don't have a background in education to call information misleading, especially when much of this information is being reported from an external source. So I just wanted to make those comments. Thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to action items. We have a recommendation for the approval of the tentative agreement. Do we have a motion? Yes, Ms. Heinrich.
I move that the Board of Education approve the tentative agreement bargaining contract between the Farmington Board of Education and the Farmington Maintenance and Cafeteria Association, MEA, NEA, FMC, as presented.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Rich. Do we have any discussion?
Just really quickly, just another negotiation and contract I'm quite proud of. I appreciate the increases and allowances and support for certifications and a recognition of longevity and so many other things that I've seen replicated in other contracts. So great job. Thank you for that.
Any other discussion? All right. Do we need to do a roll call vote? Okay. Mr. Walker?
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Myself am yes. Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Unanimous vote for.
Wonderful. Motion passes. Approval of the MEC furniture recommendation. Yes. Ms.
I move that the Board of Education approve the Maxfield Education Center MEC furniture purchase recommendation as outlined in Workspace Interiors for Office Depot's proposal in the amount of $40,575.77, with funds to come from the 2020 Capital Projects Building and Site Fund, FF&E, as presented.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Weems, supported by Mr. Walker. Is there any discussion? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to thank our community because, this capital projects building and site fund, I think, came from our bond money, and so our community really has supported our school district and just recognize that support.
Thank you, Ms. Heinrich. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Walker, could we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Myself am yes. Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Unanimous for.
Motion passes. Yes, Ms. Weems.
I move that the Board of Education approve the 2023-24 General Appropriations Resolution as presented and waive the reading of the resolution.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Weems, supported by Mr. Rich. Any discussion? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Myself am yes. Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Unanimous for.
All right, motion passes. Next.
I move that the Board of Education approve the Form L-4029 tax rate request for all properties, which results in 8.7764 mills on homesteads and industrial personal property, 21.2 mills on non-homesteads, and 14.7764 mills on commercial personal property.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Weems, supported by Mr. Walker. Any discussion? Seeing none. Do we have to do a roll call for this as well? Okay. Roll call vote, Mr. Walker?
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Myself am yes. Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Unanimous 4.
Wonderful. Motion passes. Approval of the second budget amendment? Yes, please.
I move that the Board of Education approve the 2022-23 revised general appropriations resolution as presented and waive the reading of the resolution.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Weems, supported by Ms. Heinrich. Any discussion? Yes.
Is this regarding the budget to be passed? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Any other discussion? Seeing none?
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Weems?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Myself am yes. Dr. Blau?
Yes.
6, 4, 1 against. Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the Michigan High School Athletic Association membership resolution. Yes, Ms. Heinrich.
I move that the Board of Education approve the MHSAA 2023-2024 membership resolution and waive the reading of the resolution.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker. We don't need a roll call on this one, do we?
Discussion.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Any discussion?
Yeah, just pointed out, this is just a resolution that we belong to the Michigan High School Athletic Association, and we need to belong to this in order for our athletes to participate, which we recognize tonight for not only their athletic excellence, but their academic excellence also. So it's a wonderful opportunity for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Heinrich. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. It's been a long time. Do we need to take a 5-minute break to use the restrooms and things, or can we just go forward? Keep going? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to our annual organizational meeting, and allow me to explain how we are going to proceed with this. This is the same nomination and voting process that we used last year. The chair will call for nominations for each position one at a time, beginning with the office of president. After a nomination, no second is required. The nominee will be asked if they accept the nomination. The chair recognizes the nomination and then asks if there are any other nominations. If further nominations are made, we ask again, the nominee will be asked if they accept, and then the chair will recognize the nomination and continue asking for further nominations until there are no other nominations. The president will close the nominations when there are no further nominations. If there is more than one nominee, a roll call vote will occur for each nominee in the same order as the nomination. The first nominee with a majority vote will be considered elected. If there is only one nomination and no further nominations, it will be declared that the nominee is elected by unanimous consent. Okay. And if that's the case, then the chair will ask for a motion to declare a nominee elected by unanimous vote in the instance where there is a single nominee and no further nominations. Yes, Ms. Heinrich.
I move that the Board of Education approves the officer election process as proposed by President Blau.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Heinrich, seconded by Ms. Weems. Could we have a roll call vote, please? Oh, is there discussion? Thank you. Seeing none? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Weems?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
I myself am yes. Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Then let us go ahead and open up the floor for nominations for president. Mr. Rich.
I nominate Dr. Cheryl Blau to continue in the role as president.
I accept the nomination. Are there any other nominations? Yes.
I nominate Mr. Rich for president.
Okay. Mr. Rich, do you accept the nomination?
No, thank you.
Are there any further nominations? Okay. Let me see here.
Number 9.
Hang on.
Number 9.
As a point of order,
Yes.
you would then close nominations and then do a motion for.
Yes, thank you. If there are no other nominations, then we will declare nominations closed. Just looking for the right wording here, because it says it was moved by and supported by.
Number 9.
Okay, I'm just looking for the right wording. Okay. Could I have a motion to declare the nominee elected by unanimous vote?
So moved.
Thank you. It was moved, do we need support or we don't need support?
No, you
We
just
don't need
declare
support.
that
Right,
you're
okay, so
elected.
the supported by is not. It was moved by Mr. Rich that the Board of Education retain, that Dr. Cheryl Blau retain the office of president. So, moving on, are there nominations for vice president?
Yes.
Yes, Ms.
I would like to nominate Claudia Heydrich as vice president.
Accept.
Okay. Ms. Claudia Heinrich has been nominated and has accepted the nomination. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Seeing no other nominations, could I have a motion to, nope,
You just declare.
oh, we can just declare it?
Number 9.
Okay. So let me close the nominations. I'm sorry, you guys. I'll get it by the third one. Seeing no further nominations, we will close nominations. Ms. Claudia Heinrich will be retaining the office of vice president
By unanimous consent.
by unanimous consent. Okay. Next, we have secretary. Yes.
I nominate Zach Rich for recording secretary.
Do you accept the
I
nomination?
accept.
Are there any other nominations? No further nominations. Nominations are closed. Board member Zach Rich will be assuming the role of secretary by unanimous consent. Next, we have our treasurer position. Yes, Ms. Heinrich.
I nominate Terry Weems as treasurer.
Do you accept?
I accept.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations for treasurer? Seeing none, nominations are closed. Board member Terry Weems will be retaining the office of treasurer by unanimous consent.
You know, treasurer is the role that everyone is always vying for.
Nobody else
So-
wants to be treasurer?
You do a good job, so thank you.
Yes, you do. Congratulations to all of our officers, and let us continue with our meeting. Items from the treasurer.
Sure. I move that the Board of Education approve the expenditures as outlined in the expenditure printout dated June 20th, 2023 as follows. From the general fund, $12,975,760. From the athletics fund, $184,655. From the 2018 bond fund, $1,195,306. From the 2020 bond fund, $2,965,164. From the Nutrition Services Fund, $475,725, and from the Benefit Stabilization Fund, $1,636,000. from the Benefit Stabilization Fund, $1,636,186 for a total of $19,432,796.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Weems, supported by Mr. Rich. Do we have any discussion? Do we need roll call vote?
No.
No, we can just, we're good. Pardon me?
You have to vote.
Yes. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes. Next, we have our consent agenda.
Oh, she's got
One more. Oh, I'm sorry. That's
Yeah, this is our organizational meeting, so we have this one
Oh,
more.
yes.
And I will speak fast again, so forgive me if I make a mistake. I move that the board authorize for the 2023-24 school year the deposit of school district funds in the following financial institutions: J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, North America, Comerica Bank, Livingston, Oakland County Credit Union, Bank of America, Citizens Bank, Fifth Third Bank for Michigan, Liquid Asset Fund, Huntington National Bank, PNC Bank, Flagstar Bank, Independent Bank, First Merchants Bank, and authorize the investment of surplus funds through the following financial institutions: Michigan Liquid Asset Fund, Fifth Third Bank, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, North America, Comerica Bank, Fifth Third Bank, and authorize the following Farmington Public Schools signatures for the listed funds for 2023-24. Farmington Public Schools authorized bank signatures for 2023-24 are for the General Fund, the Debt Fund, the Capital Projects Fund, the Nutrition Services Fund, the Student Activities Fund, the Benefits Stabilizations Fund, both the board president and the board treasurer.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Weems, supported by Mr. Walker. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, our consent agenda. Yes, sorry.
All right, I move that the Board of Education approve June 20th, 2023 consent agenda as follows. Number 1, approval of minutes. A, June 6th, 2023 regular meeting. B, June 10th, 2023 board retreat. 2, adoption of the district's action plan as approved by the Michigan Department of Education Office of Career Technical Education Civil Rights Compliance Review. 3, Head Start Director's Monthly Report. 4, personnel items.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Heinrich, supported by Mr. Walker. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Do we have any reports from board representatives this evening? No? Okay. Recommendations for future agenda items? Right. Oh, Mr. Walker, yes.
Just have a recommendation for probably, I think the timing based on what our administration said would probably be our second board retreat, that the secondary information, the test information be reported out in that particular board retreat, and then circled back on at the next Tuesday board meeting.
Good idea.
Oh, because we will have the,
Yeah, we won't have it in, I don't think we'll have it in time by the first retreat in August,
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Comes out in the summer.
Well,
Oh, by
August, but maybe
release,
not,
okay.
but then by.
Depending on when that embargo and so forth comes into play.
Right.
So I'm not anticipating that we would have it in time for our first board retreat in August. So I'm thinking the second,
Second board retreat.
we should hopefully have it in time.
Date results. And then we would report on that at our board meeting. after.
Yeah.
Any other recommendations for future agenda items? Okay. Good and welfare.
Just really briefly, want to acknowledge all of the graduates. Really loved being there for many of the graduations this year through North Farmington, Farmington, Visions. I missed Central, but I hear that was, no, I was there for Central too. feel like I missed one. Is it, no?
Oh,
Maybe I'm Miss Harrison. I feel like it was always But whether you celebrated a graduate or not, I hope you have a great summer, enjoying birthday celebrations or graduation parties or weddings or whatever people do over the summer. I will see you in August. To my board members, fellow board members, I appreciate your service this year. I know this is a lot of work. Really appreciate your commitment, your time, and your service. I know that you do it all for the money. That's, you know, the $0 in pay that you get.
I do it for the sandwich.
And the sandwiches, we do get sandwiches. That's very nice. No, seriously, you're here because you have a passion for this work and you bring a unique perspective. We're all from different places, different backgrounds, and I really appreciate the way that we can collaborate and listen to each other, and I hope that continues. Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Walker.
I just wanted to, two things. I just wanted to thank the community and staff and everyone, board, my colleagues here, Dr. Delgado, Dr. Dulio, for the community dialogues that we've had this year. I think that they were very informative. I think they were very connective in terms of the community, and I think and overall it accomplished what it was set out to do, and that is to begin to build lines of communication and trust between the community and the board and our entire district as a whole. And I look forward to having more of those sessions in the upcoming school year where we look to have one per quarter. But I also want to take a moment briefly, as Ms. Williams did earlier, and point out an inaccuracy mentioned in the public comment when it was stated that a despairing remark was not allowed to be said at one of the meetings regarding one of the schools. I wanted to clarify that the despairing remark wasn't despairing, it was an outright promotion and an outright statement to not participate or enroll in one of our schools, which is not the objective of our community dialogues. While people are certainly entitled to their opinions, in those discussions, we look to promote conversation. We look to support the work that goes on within our district by our incredible staff, our incredible administration, our incredible students. We take honest to hard looks at ourselves, and we receive that as such. But to actively work against the work of these great people in this district is not what our community dialogues are about. And I will say, for the record, if my name is attached to it, that kind of conversation will not take place at a community dialogue. If someone wishes to have that comment, they can have their own dialogue wherever they choose to, but that doesn't serve a purpose here at FPS, not for what we're all trying to do and I believe committed to. So I just wanted to make that remark.
Ms. Heinrich, yes.
I have this philosophy, life short, eat ice cream, so thank you to Mr. Hall and Pappen for June 26th. Silver Dairy is going on my calendar.
Yes, Mr. Rich.
It's been another long school year. We have been through a lot. I know that my fellow board members have dedicated a lot of time, not only in these meetings and our board retreats, but preparing for these meetings. Takes a lot of time making sure that we are prepared and coming in with all of our questions already answered, so we are ready to make decisions. And that is so important for a productive board, to actually be ready to do the work here. It's very much like when you are a member of an orchestra or a band or something like that. You don't go to rehearsal to practice, you go to rehearsal to get everything to work together, right? You need to do all of your practice ahead of time, make sure that you have everything ready ahead of time, so that everyone can be working together to get the best outcome. As we head into the summer, please everyone remember to use sunscreen, stay hydrated, and if you are traveling internationally, please check your passports and that they are valid over 6 months from when you are traveling. If you are having an issue with that, please feel free to contact your member of Congress's office. They might be able to help, but the sooner that you do that, the more likely they can help. If you contact them a day or two before your travel, it will be a lot more difficult to get that resolved. So thank you, everyone.
Speaking from personal experience.
Maybe, just maybe. So thank you, everyone, and hopefully you have a great and safe summer, and we look forward to seeing everyone in the fall.
Yes, Ms. Smith.
Congratulations to the graduates. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I was not able to attend. I was taking care of family business. I want to say what a beautiful job yesterday at the Juneteenth celebration, and all week we had a wonderful time with people coming out. And I want to also extend and let it be known, I received a new position. I will still be a board member, but I won't be as visible. I will not be in costume anymore, reading to the schools and to the littles, and won't be so visible. I will be still in the community and still participate in community events. But no one can say, oh, well, where is Angie? She's not in the schools anymore. So I won't be making those visits, as you know. Although I have been in high demand, I went over to Warner a couple of weeks ago. They wanted to see my shoes because I bling out my Crocs, so that 8th graders want to see them. So I will not be as visible. So it's not like I have moved or anything. I am still here. So if you need me, I'm just a shout away. Thanks. Have a great summer.
Congratulations on your new position. I wanted to share a couple of quick things. One is that at the end of our 2 graduations on Sunday, there were so many people there. What were the odds? What would the odds be that I would run into a student from my very first class? When I taught in Southfield 36 years ago, 1986, this gentleman was in my class, and his daughter was walking across the stage as one of our graduates last Sunday. And it was just really kind of full circle. It was really, really exciting. Surprisingly, I remembered his name. It just was the same face, just on a bigger body. And so I look forward to reconnecting with that former student of mine. The work that we do in our classrooms, at the board office, and at the board table is so important. It's so important. And I'm so grateful to my board colleagues, Dr. Delgado, and your team, and all of our teachers and paras and custodians and bus drivers and everyone who makes this orchestra sing. It takes all of us working together, and we have worked really hard as a team, the 7 of us, to overcome a lot of obstacles. And I'm really, really proud of what we have accomplished. And I look forward to working together again in the coming year. Have a wonderful summer, everyone. Stay safe and be well. Our meeting is adjourned.